Good morning, everybody. Rise and shine. Wake up. Wipe your eyes. Let out a big yawn and just give a big old stretch. It's time for Wish We Were Then. This is the show that's been doomed to repeat history so that you may learn from it. My name is Trey, and I'm joined here with my friend Mark. How you doing?
Doing great, man. We are altering back to a very old year this year.
I actually, I'm so interested every time we do these, especially these years in the later part of the decade we're about to get into it, just to see how much less transitional, how much more less transitional they are than I thought they would be. Like these feel like they're they're trying hard to resist changing into the next decade. It feels like a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of stuff we've seen kind of pop up a couple of years ago. They're like, no, never mind, forget about that. You know, we're not gonna carry on down that path anymore. Things are changing, but people are afraid of the change.
I could see that makes sense from this time.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know how that is. You're a father. You see some changes occurring. You say, I'm not ready to see this growth occurring. You know,
we just took off Sabrina's bed thing, so now she's in a toddler bed and no longer in a crib.
Oh man,
the big changes going on around here too.
Yeah, that's the next level up. Damn, not a baby anymore.
No.
Speaking of which, when we showed up at the year we were going to, we found out that we were getting to stay with Cousin Monty. We were so excited. We love Cousin Monty. He's the greatest. He's a freaking laugh riot, that guy. So we showed up all excited, and this is what occurred. Hey, Cousin Monty, we're so excited to see you. We're just jazzed to be able to hang out with you this week, for this year. Oh, so how you guys doing, man? So excited. It's been too long, hasn't it? It's been way too long. Oh man, I miss you guys. I can't wait to hang out.
Yeah, I love it here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's a great decade for it, is it not? Look around, all black and white, perfect for the snow. Ah, man, you're gonna have such a great time here. We are gonna hang out. Let me tell you, I'm excited to sample some of your wares, some of your food and drink options that you got here, and that are gonna be different from what we're used to. I'm really looking forward to it. Oh yeah, me too. But just real quick, I'm so sorry. I just got to run real fast. I just need you guys for like 5, 10, 15, 20 weeks. Just watch my kids, okay? Just watch my kids real quick. That's it. Just for a bit. You say, no, come on, man, Monty. I come here to watch your kids, dude.
20 weeks? It's a long time.
That seems like a long time, Monty. Come on, man. Real quick. I just got a couple things I got to do. That seems like a lot of things.
Yeah, what are you going to do for 20 weeks and going on a road trip?
It's just a road trip. That's it. That's all it is. Just a little road trip. I'm just going up over to Canada. That's real close to where we are now in Wisconsin. So I don't know what's taking so long. Just watch the kids, please. I'll be right back. Fine. Fuck, man. I guess we got to... Shit. I don't really know. I have no idea what to do here. I think you're probably a better choice, Mark, but it kind of seems like there's not a lot to even do for kids at this time. I don't know. It feels like... nobody around us is sure what to do either. All right, we can find some stuff. There's some things. There's starting to be some things going around. Turn on the radio. There's a couple weird, fucking stupid songs that kids like, probably, right? Charting pretty highly.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of children's songs hitting the top 5. That's weird. This is perfect for us. Okay. Actually, you look around a little bit. I'm starting to see there's a lot of babies. We're not alone in having to deal with this. There's a bunch of babies everywhere.
It's like there was a boom or something.
Something like that is going on. And I think we're not the only ones who are worried about this. It seems like everyone else is working on trying to get a lot of different foods made for them, different types of... Turn on the TV. There's actually, for the first time, there's a viable program to turn on this Saturday morning to show these children. I'm excited. Okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't going to be so bad. Maybe if we buckle down, we work together... We use your tried and true expertise and my charm and affability, and we're bound to make it all the way through this arduous year of 1958.
I know the kids are going to be excited about this one.
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just noticed as I was looking through it that it seemed okay. We've seen in the past that they didn't, as I mentioned, people didn't really know what to do with children. It seems like for a while, and this year there's a bunch of stuff that I started to notice okay, they're marketing. They're realizing children are a viable marketing opportunity.
Well, then even like a little bit before this, like right after the war, teenagers started to become a marketable thing. I don't think teenagers were even considered a
Yeah.
thing before that. They were just kids all the way up until you were 18 or whatever the fuck.
I think that's kind of part of it is that I think of the 50s as being a very teenagery time. And I think when we looked at a couple years prior to this, there was a lot of like, teenager in love, sort of like leather jackets kind of a scene going on. And it felt like this year they sort of were trying to like walk that back a little bit. There wasn't a ton of teenager stuff so much, but there was a lot of like cartoons and different kind of colorful stuff going on that seemed like they were different toys and things that were coming around for the first time. And it seemed like there was a focus on children that maybe it was because advertisers and stuff said, hey, we've kind of been focusing on the older kids more than we have the younger kids recently.
Yeah.
But as far as, you mentioned the baby boom going on. This actually is the end of the baby boom, like kind of officially, not on the in terms of like generations, like the definitions of the numbers, but in the actual birth rates. This is the first year since World War II that we are seeing a decline in birth rates, and that decline would actually last for 11 years, which is the longest on record in the country.
Oh dang! Well,
so it wasn't just
but it was a really high mark to keep rising.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. So it's not like it's just going from a normal level and then starting to drop. It's going from the highest it's ever been and dropping down.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's evening back. It's evening back out.
Yeah, but Generation X is a very small generation, is it not?
I don't know if it's like in comparison to.
Yeah, we're a bigger generation. Millennials are pretty hefty sized.
Well, that makes sense because that's when the boomers start having kids.
Yeah, exactly.
You and I are like the last one in the boomer generation, like last boomer kids to be around.
Yeah, we're like kind of the second baby boom. As I was researching it and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I didn't realize millennials are considered the second baby boom because they're all the kids of boomers. But millennials aren't as interested in having kids as boomers were. They still do, True. But not as high a rate as they were.
Well, I think the get married after high school and have kids at 23 isn't stopped becoming a norm after once we were starting to be born. Because even our parents had us in their late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. One of my best friends had a kid at like 31.
Yep, I know that guy.
Okay, let's get on to some different news stuff, huh?
I want to say one little thing before we jump off. It kind of like gives you an idea of how things have changed in such a short amount of time. Because this isn't that long ago.
Okay.
65 years, 66 years. Annual household income for an entire year, on average, was $4,000.
Wow.
The average price of a home was $12,400.
Okay.
So in comparison to your annual household income, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
You're like, sure. Like,
yeah, of course.
$100 a month, whatever it is, probably less than that even.
Damn. It's a dream.
Yeah. It's like an American dream.
Man, that's crazy. Even if you just had to save up for it, like if that was a possibility, it wouldn't be that hard to save up for a house.
No, it'd take you 5 years. If you were like frugal about it.
Yeah.
Or you could just pay off the 30-year mortgage that you just got in a quarter of the time if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, what do you think the average income is in America now? Like 50 grand?
Yeah, I would guess about that. But house costs in California, the median house cost is $1 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would put the average house cost to equal that would have to be at 200,000, and I haven't seen that, at least not in California, since I was a child. I'm in Texas now, and I have seen one development that was kind of out in the middle of nowhere with some small, maybe duplexes that said they were in the mid 200s, but even in the middle of nowhere, you're not really finding homes for that cheap.
Yeah. So life was much more affordable for Americans in this time, and it was crazy to see the differential in those numbers.
Yeah, I think the big thing, though, that we're not seeing immediately on paper here is all the avocado toast that people from our generation bought. That really fucked things up. So, we're not seeing the full story. Your numbers do make it seem wildly more affordable and easy for those people who own a home, but there's something about toast. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. 2006 or something. Here's a little small story to open up the year. Like you said, kind of just show the differences in time and stuff like that. This is a cool thing to happen prior to a lot, like the 60s even, I guess is what I will say, just to frame it like that. It's nice that this happened before the 60s occurred, is that on February 11th, Ruth Carroll Taylor became the first black flight attendant, or stewardess as they were called at the time. So it's just nice to know that there was some, still pushing forward of racial boundaries and stuff like that before it became just the societal norm,
Yeah, we'll see a little bit more of that this year.
Mohawk Airlines was the one who hired her, and they put out an open call to applicants, and they received about 800 applicants. They were looking to hire the first African American flight attendant.
Okay.
Like, that's specifically what they were doing. Her first flight was from Ithaca to New York City, so a pretty short flight. I'm guessing that was probably intentional as well, in case anybody wasn't cool with this happening and decided to do something shitty in the air. And then she was let go within 6 months because of some prejudicial practices, not having to do with her race, though. It's because Mohawk Airlines had, at the time, a very commonplace marriage ban. So flight attendants could not be pregnant nor married. Otherwise, you'd lose your job.
I heard that before.
So, yeah.
I mean, basically, you guys should just hire like 18-year-olds out of high school, 17-year-olds out of high school at that point.
It's just a weird thing. I mean, the whole idea is that, like, this is for men on business trips to be going, and they're flirting with these young women. They have to know they're single, so that way they can flirt with them because their wives aren't around. They're going on a business trip. Like, so it's like, what is the intimation here that these guys are supposed to think they have a chance getting with these girls? Or is it just so they don't feel uncomfortable? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was under the impression that it was because your hours and your availability. Like, you're going to be gone for a day. I mean,
who cares?
But
that's up to the woman to choose. You know what? They're making the choice for her still. Like,
yeah, that's true. But I mean, I feel like that's like I don't want to hire somebody with responsibilities. I don't know.
I mean, I guess I could see that. Maybe that is it.
I mean, I don't know. It probably could be little column A, little column B, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just jumped right to thinking the worst of it. Maybe it's that it was just, I mean, it still is a little sexist to be like, listen, young lady, you wouldn't understand. You can't do this. Your husband wants you at home.
Yeah. You got knocked up. Get out of here.
Yeah. You have responsibilities now. We have to make that decision for you. You're crazy. You're hysterical. You can't work. What are you thinking? You need to go home.
Well, it's probably good for the pregnant women, actually, in hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that she was let go. I mean, she was married, so it wasn't like she was pregnant. I was like, but that condition tends to reverse itself after a while, pregnancy, So just put them on leave.
Yeah, that's true.
But interesting either way. This became a lot more about the pregnancy thing. Good for her for being the first black flight attendant. That's where that was the thing that she accomplished.
I have another flight thing. On December 10th, the first domestic jet airliner to fly between New York and Miami took place. It was a Boeing 707, and it was leased out by Pan Am World Airs. They're the only ones that had the ability or the planes to do things like this, to go such long distances. And this is the first time it happened.
Okay. Yeah, I remember talking about something to do with a similar sort of hallmark.
I think it was further.
Benchmark.
I think it was like a coast to coast kind of thing. But this
I just remember being around the same
that.
kind of time. It was like, jet travel is like a big thing in the 50s and early 60s. And yeah, it's like crazy to think about. To us, the idea of flying around is not that crazy, but it wasn't very commonplace to be able to just hop on a plane and go across the country back then.
Yeah. And like you said, the only people that did it were like, it was like out of necessity, like for business and stuff. Like businesses would go out of their way to pay people to do it. It wasn't just like, oh, you guys want to go to Florida for the weekend or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And like the same thing with like traveling. That's why motels used to be such a big thing. And I mean, I've heard the same. Maybe this is also where I'm kind of basing some of that thought about the flight attendants situation off of, is like, that's why there are Bibles in motels and hotels, is because this is like a businessman traveling across the country, was away from he was around temptation, away from his family. He was the wiles of the world were all around him. So when he's at his lowest point in his hotel room, there's the word of God to keep him on track.
I don't know. I thought that was for suicidal stuff.
Maybe that's it too. It's also just something I've heard.
Same, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I heard this thing about the Bibles, and that informed my thought of like business travel back then. But maybe that isn't even really the case for that either. Maybe it was like just people used to go to hotels to kill themselves, and finally people were like, we need to figure out a way to stop this. Our maids are really unhappy. Can we try to like put a Bible in there or something, you know? Put a cat poster that says hang in there. That's why they have those in every hotel bathroom. On August 12th, the Switchblade Knife Act went into effect in the United States. This is an interesting little thing to me because when I started reading it into like exactly what it prohibited and didn't prohibit, I was intrigued. I was under the impression, and maybe this is just me, that I thought switchblades were like illegal. I didn't think you were allowed to own a switchblade. Like,
that was my impression too. You can't buy them and stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I'd always assumed. The actual, like, this, again, I'm looking through the act and stuff, and the language of it is that it prohibits the manufacture, importation, distribution, transportation, and sale. Basically, just to say sale, buying, all of that, buying and selling. Prohibits buying and selling switchblade knives in commercial transactions between any state, territory, possession of the U.S., or the District of Columbia, and any place outside of that state. So it's talking about interstate commerce. You're not allowed to sell switchblades over state lines.
So I can manufacture and sell in the same state.
It does not prohibit intrastate. Yeah, so it does not prohibit interstate knife sales that are non-commercial in nature. So I guess if it's just like you and your homie, like you're allowed to sell your knife to him.
Okay.
You just can't be doing them in bulk, I guess. It does prohibit the possession of knives like this on federal or Indian lands or lands subject to federal jurisdiction. So if you're on federal ground, you can't have a switchblade. But other than that, you're allowed to. This does not prohibit the ownership or carrying of automatic knives or switchblades inside state lines while not on federal property. Specifically says that in the bill. One of the other big things about it is it prohibits mailing of these knives.
Well, that makes sense with the state lines thing.
Yeah, but that seemed to be kind of the extent of it. It was just trying to keep it from changing hands in a big way from one state to the other. So I kind of had to like do a bit of conjecture as to figure out why exactly, because there wasn't really, I did research trying to figure, obviously read the bill, couldn't figure out exactly why this came into effect and why there wasn't a ban on them necessarily. And I think I don't know, it's weird that they even bothered doing this. I'm not sure, because it's a states' right issue is what it comes down to. This is something that each individual state, actually most states, you're allowed to carry them. You're allowed to have them. I was shocked to find out. There's like a handful of them that you're not. Pretty much anywhere that's not a state, Puerto Rico, DC, those you're not allowed to have them, because that's government land. But the majority of places, with the exception of like 5 states, maybe outright, have them as illegal. Everywhere else, you're pretty much allowed to have them.
I wonder why. Like, it's
why they're
just
illegal?
The spring action ability.
I think that this is one of those stories that directly tied into what I was saying in the beginning about them kind of going against the teenagerness of things. The teens of the 50s, there was a lot of those weird motorcycle movies and things like that of these kids with switchblades being street toughs, greasers out there getting into gang fights with each other with their switchblades. You know what I mean? It was this fear for the American public, just brought on by the sensationalist teen exploitation movies that there were a lot of at this time. There's one that we'll talk about later. A very famous actor got their start in. And I think that's the parents across the country were very afraid of the switchblade knife.
Interesting.
I think, again, it was a way for the federal government to say, like, look, we can't outright ban these, but we can say you can't sell them to each other. So that way, if Texas allows them, go move to Texas if you want them, but they can't tell you, hey, kids in California, here's a switchblade.
Yeah.
So it can make sense a little bit.
I wonder if there's a butterfly act. Knife act.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like it kind of just lumps in together all automatic knives. And that's like over the years, legislation has come to do, like a lot of these have to do with, is it a gravity knife or a knife where you thrust it and move it? versus the ones that have a spring-loaded action in them. And then also
See,
like
that's the
ballistic
reason
knives.
that would make sense, because if it's a spring loaded, it's like you could draw it out, stab somebody, and draw it back in, like with the action of the spring, versus you stabbing somebody. I thought that was like the danger of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that it's all, these knives are seen as being, it's like kind of the shape of it too, like because at the time there were bans against daggers and like cudgels. I don't remember the actual like names of
like
them.
double-sided blades.
Just anything that looked like it was meant to stab.
Mm-hmm.
Pocket knives, hunting knives, all that shit's okay. They just basically are saying this seems like it's meant to harm and kill, and it's the type of thing that a lot of people say, like with like a lot of people apply that logic to gun control. I mean, who needs a fucking machine gun? You don't need one. It's for fun at that point. And it's not, you don't need that for defense. You don't need that for hunting. You don't need a switchblade for hunting or defense, but it's a thing. And it's like, fuck, it is easier. And if I am defending myself with it, like I'd rather not have to fucking pull out my pocket knife and get my fingernail in the little thing and open it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. People, speaking of shanking people, Bank of America comes out with their first credit card in 1958. Shanking the public from here on out.
Speaking of shanking people, let's talk about some banking people.
Yeah, Bank of America put out their first credit card. It was the first time that you could carry over a balance from month to month and the ability to make purchases over $20,000 of merchandise, which is a lot of money back then.
That is a shit ton. I didn't see that.
We buying limit. 2 houses with that? What are you doing?
You buy a gaggle. You buy a neighborhood with that shit. This would go on to become Visa specifically. So this is like the precursor to all credit cards, not just like this is the first one. Bank of America card is Visa itself, just prior to being changed the name. Essentially what happened here is that there already were lines of credit that existed. Diners Club had existed for many years at this point. And places like Mobil and Sears, they offered what's known as revolving credit, which is basically that you just see Diners Club, you would have to pay down your balance at the end of every month. And revolving credit is kind of more what we know as credit now, where they'll lend you, you borrow, you kind of go back and forth with it. And that's what Sears and Mobil had. And so this dude, Williams, forgot his first name, who worked for Bank of America, he was trying to figure out how do we make this work on a larger scale for us. And so his plan was to, in the weeks leading up to the launch, they mass mailed unsolicited 65,000 Bank of America credit cards to Fresno residents. Just getting them out there to everybody. Just gave them out to everybody for free.
What was the limit on them?
I mean, these were just the real cards. These were not applications or anything. These were just working cards that people were able to have. They're tied. I guess they were tied to your address and name because they had that on file. And then you were just on the hook for that money, I suppose. It was up to you not to use it, but this was just the full-on credit card you were given. They chose Fresno specifically for the size of the population there. It's about 250,000 people, which was big enough for this to work if it worked, but also small enough that they can kind of control a lot of the variables. And like Fresno's kind of isolated geographically. So if this went bad, they could control the press release stuff. They could kind of not let everybody know how bad it went. Also, Bank of America controlled 45% of the market share in that town. They actually did pretty well their first year. They did a really good job. And Fresno, that's what happened in 1958. Fresno went well. So the next year, they saturated all of California with over 2 million credit cards. And Williams would end up quitting in 1959 because he overestimated the goodness of the people in this country. They had their research had indicated probably around 4% of accounts will be delinquent. And the actual numbers were around 22% of all the accounts were delinquent.
Shit.
Which is like, yeah, dude, you just fucking mailed out free money. You just expected people to pay you back because you trusted them to,
Or, and it's like you didn't get them to sign anything that they would. And, why am I obligated to, you gave me this money.
Yeah,
why am I obligated to pay it back to you?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's fair too. Like I'm supposed
I
to
never
read
said
all
that I even would, you know?
Yeah, at the time too. Nowadays, well, don't fucking use that if you didn't, that could go bad for you.
Yeah, you got to go through process and paperwork, and you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there was an agreement that came about. I'm not sure exactly like how they. It must have just been implicit or whatever. Like if you use this card, like the letter that came with it, using this card means you agree to these things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the agreement that the customers were signed up for, whatever, it held them liable for all charges, including fraud. Like, again, it's explicitly laid out that fraud was on the customer. That was an issue because police were getting inundated with the brand new crime of credit card fraud that had never been an issue before this. Nobody knew what the fuck to do about it because that wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Suddenly you have people making purchases in your name because they went and stole your card out of your mailbox, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you are on the hook for it legally because of the fucking agreement that they set up or whatever.
Damn, that's fucked up.
It just was all screwy. Not a very well done system there. They officially lost $8.8 million on the launch due to all this litigation and other shit like that. Because people did take them to court for holding them liable for all these damages and all these frauds and stuff like that. So they lost about $8.8 million officially on the record. Estimates put the real number closer to about $20 million after you work in advertisement and overhead and all that shit. So there was not a grand success as far as the launch is concerned. But after Williams left, the Bank of America, they recognized they still might have something here. It just kind of was done shittily. So they held on to it and they kept working at it. And in 1961, it finally became profitable. But they didn't tell anybody. And they just started quietly making a fuck ton of money off of it. And nobody else in the world knew credit cards could work until 1966 when they were making so much money they couldn't hide it anymore.
Damn.
And at that point, they had been just expanding all over California. At that point, they finally decided to get out of California and start, again, this is Visa before it's Visa. You know, there's no credit card system in place in the world. They're just helping banks back each other up financially in California. And like legally, they're not allowed to extend themselves out as a financial institution past their state until 1990 or something like that. So they're coming up with ways to expand. And they're starting to work on all of that at this point in 1961 because they had heard of another company called MasterCharge that was doing the same thing on the East Coast. MasterCharge would come to be known as MasterCard.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd been created to compete with Visa directly or Bank Americard. So both those companies would continue, believe it or not, doing these mass shipment drops until they were outlawed in 1970, at which point Visa had drop shipped 100 million credit cards.
The damage is already done at that point. I mean, why do you need more than that? It's 100 million times however much the interest rate is, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. What's wrong with you guys? You know, what do you need? Right. We want to control everybody everywhere, and we're mad that MasterCard's, making that not possible for us. We want to own every human being. I don't know. Nuts.
Jeez. Greedy
Yeah.
bastards.
Very interesting once you get into like the nuts and bolts of it. I was just like, oh, that's cool. Credit card opened up. That's kind of fun. And then you start looking into it and you're like, oh, it's not. They've been the way that you expected them to be the whole time, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess you wouldn't do it for it's not like, I never thought that they were doing it for the people. Like, oh, you don't got money? We'll give you credit.
Yeah,
you know what I
true.
mean?
But you can kind of see the impetus behind like Diners Club. That was around before. Diners Club started in 1950. We talk about the businessmen traveling across the country. I don't want to bring all my cash with me,
Yeah.
And my bank's not here, so I can't go to the bank to get cash out to go to the restaurant when I'm here. So I have to carry all of the $500 I have for this trip on me at all times. And so Diners Club said, just give that to us. You can have this card, and then use it whenever you need it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and it did seem like it was a nice thing. You know what I mean? So it was a convenience for people. And
that's true.
That's how every business starts. Everything's like, oh, I could really help somebody by doing this. And then later they're like, somebody else is like, what? You thought you could help somebody? You could help me get more rich by giving me your idea. Well, let's get on to some people who had some ideas of their own and came out with some wonderful food inventions this year.
I got a fun one that happened in Japan. Okay. Chicken ramen was the first instant noodle to go on sale.
Oh, cool. I've had a bunch of instant noodles in my life.
Yeah, talk about doing something for the people.
Yeah.
It's definitely convenient for everybody and would feed college kids for the rest of time,
Mm-hmm.
even in the future.
For the next 60 years, kids will
Yeah, at
be
least.
eating these instant noodles. It's an interesting thing. Like, you can't really buy Asian noodles in stores unless you buy those.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
true.
if you want to cook with noodles like that, a lot of times you just buy those packets and don't use the flavorings that come with them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and it's also probably a precursor to like the pasta that we buy, right? Because I doubt there was.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I mean, at this point, we know for a fact Italian cuisine in the U.S. is not. There's no fast food version of it. There's no like everything. You go to a restaurant, I'm sure everything was fresh pasta.
Yeah.
So well, it's a good. We'll have to look into that and figure that out. In 1958, I don't actually have the month or anything like that, but I just know that over the course of this year, at some point, the icy was invented by Omar Nedlick. I got an icy shirt on right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was wearing this shirt and was like, fuck, I need to figure out what I'm going to wear today. So I was like, when was the icy invented? Praying that maybe it would be 1958. And it was. There you go. That's how you know there's a God.
Yeah. It works in mysterious ways.
He wanted me to wear this shirt.
Yeah.
Omar Nedlick, he owned a Dairy Queen franchise, and his soda machine was broken in the store. So he was buying soda bottles and putting them in the freezer to sell with the food. But when soda bottles freeze, this is something that still happens to me all the time. If you have like just bottles for some reason, cans it doesn't work with. Cans explode if you put them in the freezer too long. Soda bottles, they'll look like there's still like liquid inside, and then when you open them, they immediately all turn to slush. Have you ever had that happen?
I've seen it happen, like, yeah, on the internet and stuff.
Yeah. You open when you twist the top of it, it's all and just everything for
you
some
can
reason.
see it. Yeah,
It's such a It's cool, I guess, if you're online, but when you've been waiting for a soda to freeze for the last 45 minutes because it was too warm and you realized you left it in there too long, it's such a bummer. I think it's okay. Oh, it's not frozen. Then you open it up. It's all no magic. But so that was what occurred all the way back in 1958, and the owner of this Dairy Queen was looking at that and saying, "I can do something here." People were still excited by that, and arguably more excited to drink slushy soda.
I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a cool idea to have, especially if you're already selling ice cream.
Yeah. And then so that's the first machine was made from a car air conditioning unit, and it works by combining freezing water, carbon dioxide, and flavor. So like that CO2 is a big reason why ices have like their unique texture, and they're different than all other. Because I mean, ices just completely dominate every other slushy to me. I can't stand like when I was a kid, ices were like what I thought of as being a slushy, and then when I tried a slushy at 7-Eleven, I was like, "Ew, it's all watery."
Yeah,
It's like chunks of ice in here. I like the icy's like this,
it's like
weird.
Consistency is good. Yeah,
It's like snow, really, is what it is. Whereas most other Slurpee slushy kind of deals are all like
shaved ice.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you went outside in the winter and just like grabbed a cup full of like what was in the gutter because it's all like kind of liquid but also still full of ice. Whereas ice is like freshly fallen snow.
Well, I guess we're talking about Italian Americans or Italian food.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut was founded in Wichita, Kansas by Dan and Frank Carney.
Yeah, this first opened on May 31st. They'd borrowed about $600 from their mom in order to get the place open, and actually got 5 more open within a year. So they just immediately took off.
Damn.
Yeah, they named their business Pizza Hut because the sign that they had on their building only had room for 8 letters.
Oh shit.
So it was just like they knew pizza's going up there for damn sure. We know that much. We have 3 more letters that we can use. Pizza Boy, that would have been a good one. Pizza Man.
Yeah. Pizza
Hut, I mean, you don't have that many options.
No, you don't. Damn. That's pretty clever. Hey, it worked for them. But I could see why pizza in Kansas would be popular right now in 58. Like you said, it was like a luxury food still. Not everybody was getting pizza left and right. Maybe if you lived in New York around a bunch of different Italian Americans.
Yeah, I bet the people of Kansas never even had seen an Italian American. They were probably frightened the first time Pizza Hut rolled into town. The building, the iconic building, was actually not initially part of their design. I thought that was interesting. I kind of assumed that was the first building looked like that, and that's why they all do. But it was like an intentional thing that they did much later. In 1969, they came up with the design for the iconic buildings, and then that would work its way into their logos and everything else. But yeah, it's such a part of their iconography that I assumed it had always been there. But no, their first ones were just like in a normal building.
Mm-hmm.
Not
I saw a
hut-like.
picture of it. No, not hut-like at all.
Got another big opening here on July 16th. More international news. We're talking about Italy. Well, this one involves Italy and the rest of the world because we're talking about the International House of Pancakes. They opened up in Toluca Lake, California. Their first location, they actually opened up across the street from intentionally, they picked a spot across from a really busy Bob's Big Boy in LA because they were hoping there were people lined up every day outside. And they were thinking if people were lined up outside waiting to eat, they'll probably just come over to the other restaurant that say, hey, we're right here, we're open. And I was like, that's kind of a smart idea.
Yeah.
You would think that would be like, you don't want to open next to like the most popular restaurant in LA at the time, but they totally worked out for them. Just greedy little fucking vultures just sitting there waiting for all the food to come off of the bigger predators' mouths,
We'll just take the scraps. We'll take it.
Oh, we love your little carry-on. Yum, yum, yum. Now, something that I always was curious about as to why is it called the International House of Pancakes? Is it because of the reach of this business? They have outlets all over the world. It doesn't seem like their food is international to me. But that is where the actual idea comes from. According to IHOP themselves, in a press release, they said that the original creators received inspiration in the tropical taste of coconut syrup and dreaming up the idea of a local restaurant centered around pancakes. So coconut syrup, I guess, is kind of mostly that. Was it the 50s? We've talked before about how back in the 50s, islands were neat. Hawaii was a new concept. And I guess that was it. They just made them. They went island life, international. Coconuts, and then that was it. So we just made the International House of Pancakes because of coconut syrup. That's pretty much it.
Interesting. I've never even heard of coconut syrup.
Yeah, neither have I. It sounds kind of gross.
Yeah, it does not sound good.
Initially, I don't know if this was like one of their launch flavors, but this was an early flavor of pancake or syrup. I'm not sure, but Tahitian orange pineapple. I just saw listed as a flavor that you could get.
That doesn't sound good on anything, especially a pancake.
That sounds good in rum.
Yeah, that'd be good. It's a tiki drink, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it without being in liquid form. Or maybe on some ice cream or something like that, but not a pancake, really.
No.
Tahitian orange pineapple.
The first thing I thought of if they did a coconut syrup would be like a banana pancake.
Jack Johnson style.
Yeah.
I think... it's funny though that in the 50s, international just meant islands. That's it. It wasn't like they didn't have like French pancakes because that's what I thought. I immediately thought of like, there must be an Italian one and a French themed one and
some crepes on there or something.
Yeah, something
that makes sense. But
there's Mexican food or something. No, just it's all just islands was international.
This isn't a pancake. This is a tortilla.
It's funny actually. Speaking of that I got Chinese food recently, and I think it was egg foo young it says on the menu it comes with pancakes, and I was like, pancakes? I'm interested to see what that is. But it's just a tortilla. It showed up with like a tortilla, but to Chinese people, tortillas are pancakes, I guess.
Maybe those Chinese people. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like a mistranslation at this restaurant or if it's a common thing. I never bother to look into it further. I just think of that every time I order it. I'm like, don't expect pancakes. I mean, I also was funny. I kind of got it just out of the curiosity of like, how is this food going to taste on a pancake? That seems weird. Last food thing I got here very quickly. McDonald's signs. This is the year they started to read 100 million sold. So like very early on, that made me look into the history of that. Very early on into their run, they started counting them and said over 1 million sold. And so this was like the first like big, huge number that they put on there, over 100 million sold. And then it would switch to a billion. And then when we were kids, I kind of remember it getting up to 99 billion. And then they stopped counting. So it's like they actually like officially stopped counting like 1996 or something like that.
Well, it's probably good because I think it becomes a little redundant.
Yeah, it's kind of tedious at this point.
I think right now in 58, it's like, oh, cool, you guys are really doing really well for yourselves, and that's an up and coming business. But then the 90s, everyone's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, how
Yeah, we
much
know you're
fucking-
McDonald's.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I can see another one over there, dude. Like we
can
get
throw
it.
a
You
rock
sell
and
lot of
break a
hamburgers.
window into McDonald's from where I'm standing if I wanted to.
Yeah, I think even 100 million is kind of like a number that's so big you just go, okay, yeah, I think we get it. At this point, you're very successful. You don't have to like tell us the number.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's it for food. All right, I got a little thing here in the technological sphere. It's video game news. I'm always just so thrilled to get to go back this far and find stuff about video games. It's really crazy that that's a possibility. And this week, actually, I was kind of like, I'm probably not going to find anything because I already know some news about earlier stuff. But once again, pleasantly shocked to have the news I have for you today. On October 18th, Tennis for Two was displayed at the Brookhaven National Library's annual public expo. This is a video game that was created by American physicist William Higginbottom. Now, we spoke previously about how William Brown and Ted Lewis created a pool game in 1954 for like the Midsac computer, and that was like that was like the first ever video game, as far as my research has indicated thus far. This one does get a lot of notes, and people will reference this one as being the first video game. So it was interesting to like read so many articles and be like, nah, I know more than you do, motherfucker. You gotta listen to
They
Wish
don't
We Were
listen
Then
to
if you
Wish
want
We
the
Were
full-
Then. Yeah.
Although I do have to point out anytime something like this happens, we didn't save that fact, so that's why nobody else knows it. This though is the first. This holds the distinction of being the first game that was created like for pleasure and leisure times. You know, everything else at this point, like the pool game, they were all created in order to showcase the capabilities of the machine that they were on. They were like demonstrative, or they were research based, or something like that. They were designed to meet some sort of goal. This was strictly just supposed to be fucking cool. This William Higginbottom, he learned about the Government Research Institute's Donner Model 30 computer, which could simulate trajectory with wind resistance. So when he found out about that, he said, oh, I got to use that to create a tennis game. Weird.
You must have been
like
a tennis guy.
I guess so. Yeah, he had no practical applications for this thing. He had no like way to make this like a research that would help anybody. He just thought like that'd be so cool if we could make that into a tennis game. He and technician Robert Dvorak built this game over 3 weeks. And the way the actual like gameplay is, it's just like a line. It's very similar to the pool game that we looked at before. So it's like a line, and then in the middle of the line, there's like a vertical line. It's a horizontal line with a little vertical line, and then it's just a ball that goes over. And you would like use a knob to adjust your pitch, and then you would press a button to hit it. So it was pretty simple.
That's
like,
actually, but it's pretty interactive.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, and it was timing based, which was just so shocking to me that the pool game was like it actually bounced off the walls and would know when it landed in a hole. And this one was actually about timing and about wind resistance and shit. Like the ball wouldn't go that far based on how much wind resistance. And these are the first ever video games like had more than just, you would think they would be like the most basic version of everything, but they actually had like layers to it already.
Damn, that's cool.
They did show it the next year as well at the next Brookhaven National Library Expo. And then after that, it was dismantled for some reason. I don't really know why. Higginbottom just wasn't that like, he just did it kind of for fun. He wasn't trying to make a bunch of money off of this. And it didn't seem to be that important to him. Like he prefers to be remembered for his other work that he's done, like in wars and shit like that. Like I don't remember exactly what it was. I didn't remember. Sorry, Higginbottom. But nobody knew about this shit until he got called in to testify in the case of Magnavox versus Bayer, which was like we've kind of talked about similar things where they were like early in the years of video games, like in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of litigation about like, I own the rights to video games, you know? And it's like that sort of stuff. So this was one of those things where he got called in to be like, look, video games have been around since longer than you even know. Magnavox. Yeah. And when that case came up, that drew attention to this having possibly been one of the first ever video games. So like people weren't even aware of it until that occurred like 20, 30 years later.
Damn, that's crazy. Well, he got recognition one way or another, I guess.
Yeah, and again, he doesn't. At that point, he was already like, "Oh yeah, that thing. I've already done something with a war or something."
Or something. Who knows?
Okie dokie. Let's move on over into the toy section. We're just looking at video games. Video games are pretty similar to toys. I only got one toy to talk about this year. Do you have
I
anything?
think we have the same toy to talk about. Introduced by Arthur K. Spud Mullen and Richard Keir, the first hula hoop. And it was with their company Whammo.
Such a good name for a toy company.
Right? Yeah, seriously.
Whammo.
And I think they would go on too, right? They were around when we were kids.
Yeah, they're still around. They have
Yeah.
like their logo says Whammo in like a red. If I'm correct, it's like a red like kind of looking spiky circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, bam, sort of thing.
But yeah, it's crazy. Just the simplest thing. Do you think they
Well-
saw their kids like throwing tires around their hips? And they're like, we
Well,
got to do that.
So the story here is the way it came about in America. There are Australian children have been playing with hoops, bamboo hoops for eons. And before that, there was always like a stick and hoop game, you know, where you would like pick up the stick and roll it. So just the idea of like putting it around your waist is all that they were selling. You know what I mean? For the most part.
Yeah.
Which is also something that's been used in like Native American and Chinese dancing and Russian dancing for like also generations and generations. So they didn't really invent so much as just market something, which the 50s is all about. But the story goes that more than likely, according to Whammo, actually it's kind of I ended up kind of piecing together after a bunch of stuff. So I'll just say what actually happened because there's like so many accounts of this from different areas. But essentially, there's a company called Toll Toys in Australia that started to make hoops out of plastic because there already were being sold bamboo hoops and other like natural fiber hoops in stores for a while at this point. They were popular toys, but you couldn't produce them quickly enough and they weren't sturdy and all that other kind of shit. So Toll Toys ended up coming up with the idea of making them out of plastic, which was like a new idea at the time. Plastic was kind of a new thing and the manufacturing processes, all of that was pretty cutting edge. So in 1957, Toll Toys in Australia started producing these. They made about 400,000 of them over the course of the year 1957. Then they like approached Whammo Toys, which Whammo says is what happened themselves too, that they were approached by Toll Toys to make these. Toll Toys, though, says that Whammo told them, this is too generic of an idea for us to give you any sort of royalty for it. No, we're not going to pay you any money for this. So like, thank you for telling us, but see you later. That was basically all they could do. We are going to use this. So then the owner of Toll Toys then asked Whammo to sponsor a single bed in an Australian children's hospital. That was the end of that story. I didn't get any information as to whether they did it. And Whammo doesn't have any follow-up on this. I only like found just piecing it together from a couple different sources that Toll Toys asked them to do this. So hopefully they did. Fuck. They only asked for one bed.
I would like to think they did.
Hopefully, damn. But also the fact that it said they asked for a single bed made it seem like they were like, can you donate some money to the children's hospital? And they're like, no. You know, you just came and showed us something that we're going to use. And like, can you please just sponsor one kid?
Jeez.
It sort of, yeah, it kind of seemed like they were trying to paint them in a bad light, but there was like no follow-up that said like they didn't. But the fact that it didn't say, and they did readily or whatever, and they said, of course, we'll sponsor the whole children's wing. Made me think that Whammo didn't comply is what I'm guessing. But
they're like, we never got that letter. Weird.
Yeah, who knows?
Got lost in the mail.
But anyway, when it came here for Whammo, it did really well, just like it did in Australia. They sold 25 million of these suckers here in America in the first 4 months.
Dang.
The reason why it did so well is Spud, as you mentioned, and his wife Susie would cold call TV stations. And TV was still a new enough thing, and they were looking for programming and stuff like that. They would just call them and say, hey, we got a new product. We would love to come and demonstrate it on the air for you. And TV stations would say, sure. They were looking for anything, man. Fuck it. So the kids just saw it on TV, and it became an extremely popular toy for about 1 year. They couldn't keep up production, so they started like mass producing those things. The fad died out, and they just were sitting on a shit ton of hula hoops. The problem was that a bunch of other people started copycatting them, and there were a ton of other things. So then everyone else quit making hula hoops, and Whammo kind of quietly sat on it for a little bit, but didn't like stop. Then they coined the catchphrase, it's not a hula hoop if it's not a Whammo. If it ain't a Whammo, it ain't a hula hoop, something like that. And then in the 60s, there was like a new resurgence of hula hoop love. But because they now owned hula hoop, like it kind of stopped anybody else from coming in and trying to like do the hoop-de-doo, because there was like a bunch of other funny names for these things back in the day, but now it was like, oh, people know the hula hoop because of Whammo, and so then they still make them to the day, still the company that makes hula hoops now.
Yeah.
Because they like didn't give up on it,
It became popular again. Remember when people were doing like the dances? There was like a whole like
Yeah, in the 90s and
like dance culture
after
in
that.
the early 2000s. Whole like dance culture around hula hoops.
Yeah, it's called like, well, that's what I was looking through the the Wikipedia about it. I got to hooping. It just seems like hooping made it sound dumb, I think.
Yeah, well, could have been whammoing.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing too. It's like more of that 50s stuff though. It's so interesting here is that this is named hula hooping from the act of the hula dance, And that was just moving your hips, and like the island stuff was so popular this year, so they named it hula hoop because of that.
Well, we've already done one island-based movie this decade.
Yeah.
And we'll
see if
got
any
more coming, I think.
I suppose hooping could be considered a sport.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of hooping, let's talk about some of the people who are hooping in the sports world. Let's go over some of the champions. Let's start with the NBA champions, or the St. Louis Hawks. The World Series champions are the New York Yankees. The Stanley Cup champions were the Montreal Canadiens. The NFL champions were the Baltimore Colts. And then there was a World Cup this year.
Oh, wow. It feels like every year there's a World Cup somehow,
I feel like I don't find them very often. I feel like I don't obviously I don't do the math for like when they're coming, but I'm like, I feel like I haven't done that many. I don't know.
To me, it feels like it's constantly like, you're like, oh, there was one this year. I'm like, yeah, it seems like fucking every single year they do one of these things.
But Brazil won the 6th World Cup ever. So this is the 6th World Cup to ever be held.
Wow.
So they're not happening super often before this.
I guess that makes sense. You can't really like unite the world and everyone's traveling all over to one place before air travel.
It's true. Just like leave 6 weeks in advance and take a ship around the Horn of Africa,
risking your life to go play a soccer game.
But I got a couple of things to say about these champions here. We'll start with the NFL. So this game happened on December 28th, and it is known in history as the greatest game ever played. You might have heard that once or twice, because this was the first sudden death overtime to ever happen in NFL history.
Yeah, I was shocked when we were watching it live happen.
Yeah.
The greatest game I've ever seen.
I mean, the game is played much differently then than it is now.
Yeah, the horses, sure. the swords.
Yeah, there was colts, people riding on colts, and then there was giants everywhere swinging. It's crazy. But 17 future members of the Hall of Fame were playing in this game.
That makes sense. I mean, it feels like a game to be playing. If it's the greatest game ever played, you imagine a lot of the people are going to make it on there.
The Colts won in overtime 23-17 against the Giants.
Yeah, this is the only league championship game of any sort in the NFL to go into overtime until Super Bowl 51, which is 58 seasons after this.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that they just don't ever have to go to overtime in the Super Bowl. I was kind of shocked at that. They made 50 different Super Bowls without having to do it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And 7 additional seasons. But fucking 58 seasons worth of every time they just, whoever won at the end of the time.
Yeah, I mean, clear-cut winners, I guess.
In 2019, 66 members of sports media voted it the best game of the NFL's first 100 years. So I mean that was all the NFL had existed at that point. So out of all the games so far, the sports media members voted this the best game ever played.
When?
So,
what year?
In 2019.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah, the league was started in 1920. So this was there actually were 100 years worth of games to look back on, and they decided this is the best one out of all of them as far as the media members are concerned. Baltimore receiver Raymond Berry's 12 receptions at like a championship game was a record until 2014. So a lot of these records held on for fucking forever. Damn. And Johnny Unitas was the MVP. A lot of people have heard of him. Threw for 349 yards.
Damn.
He's another one of those guys people consider to be one of the greatest football players ever. Great name, Johnny Unitas. Bring us
That
all
is-
together, Johnny.
Coolest dude out there for sure. It's a lot of cool people to be around too. So we'll have a pretty high title right there. Moving on, I got another one here from the NHL.
Okay.
On January 18th, William O'Ree was the first black NHL player to play. He played for the Boston Bruins. He only played 2 games that season, though. And then he wouldn't play again until the season of 1960 to 61. But he played 43 games in that season.
Okay. Was he pregnant this season? That's why they had to kick him off.
He got married.
Yeah.
And then he divorced her, so they let him back on.
That makes sense.
And one more thing, Arnold Palmer won his first Masters tournament.
Oh.
Yeah, the inventor of the drink.
Yeah, this is before he was a drinksmith. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of those people whose name, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
I actually, to be honest with you, if you like asked me, I probably would have guessed the 70s. I don't really know anything about Arnold Palmer. I wouldn't have known when he was around.
He probably
Like,
was still playing in the 70s.
I mean, you could
Golfers
probably
play for a
golf
long
for that
time.
one.
Yeah.
This was his first one.
Yes.
So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm sure he was a young man at this point. You can play until you're, I don't know. I think most golfers go until they're like 50, I want to say, and then you start playing in the senior leagues.
That makes
Possibly. I also don't know about that. I'm just pulling that out of my ass. So if you asked me, Arnold Palmer, I'd be like, yeah, he played until 1977 when he was 55. I don't know. All made up. I've got a couple sports stories. Do you have any more? Or are you done?
Nope, that was it.
This one's very good. This one pertains to you. I'm surprised you didn't catch this one out there on your travels. On April 15th, the first Major League Baseball game was played in California. It took place between the Giants and the Dodgers, who both were playing their very first seasons in California this year.
I didn't know that was the season that the Dodgers moved.
Yeah,
to
both
LA.
of them. Both
I didn't know
teams.
it happened at the same time. Well,
Yeah, I didn't know
just
that either. I was
goes
surprised
goes
by
to
it.
show you the rivalry has lasted for a long time.
That was specifically the reason why they moved to the same place. I looked in to try to figure out, because that was strange to me. I thought, was it just that they needed to get teams in California? Like, why would you move these two really big teams? Because they were the New York Giants. They played in New York City, and then the Brooklyn Dodgers, for those who don't know. The Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles, while the Giants moved from New York to San Francisco. The Giants first moved into playing at Seal Stadium. Was a minor league. I think they were a soccer team, I want to say. There was the Seals. And then they moved to Candlestick Park after 2 seasons, which they stayed at for a very long time. The reason why they moved is basically the Dodgers owner, Walter O'Malley, just for financial reasons, among a couple other, like mostly it was around like the stadium was in the middle of a really crowded city, and it was the best stadium, but from the olden times. He was ready for shit to be new and better and move into the next echelon of stuff. The Dodgers were still like one of the biggest teams around, but like stadium attendance had been declining at the Dodgers, but they still were a good team. The stadium's starting to get a little bit not as nice as it could be, all this kind of stuff. And so in order to find new fertile ground, O'Malley decided to move the team to Los Angeles. Horace Stoneham, who was the owner of the Giants, was also thinking of moving the team. They weren't doing as well as the Dodgers were. They just kind of needed to move and stuff in general. So New York just wasn't really a good place to have a team, I guess, at the time. There wasn't a lot of money to go around.
Saturated having 3 teams in one city. Because the Yankees.
Yeah, exactly. He was thinking about going to Minnesota at first, and then he ended up, which is like, way rather go to California than Minnesota. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he's like, actually, I'm gonna take a page out of your book.
They ended up like talking, and he convinced him because he's like, look, the rivalry's a huge deal. Let's keep this going. Come to California with us. Enjoy the sunny weather. Why the fuck would you move to Minnesota when you can move to San Francisco? So come on down. And like, it just played out perfectly geographically. Like already there's a baked-in rivalry between San Francisco and Los Angeles being the 2 big cities in California for the most part. San Diego's there, but they're just hanging out, man. We're just here too, dude. Padres, man. We're down here. Don't worry about us. The Mets were given to New York as a consolation prize, basically, because people were upset about losing 2 teams. It wasn't like New York was trying to get rid of these teams. It was the teams that were trying to bail, So New Yorkers were kind of upset. So they got the Mets as a consolation prize, which
was it created or they moved there?
They were created, and they would play their first season in 1962.
Okay, it's like that makes sense because they're the Mets is the Metropolitans.
Yeah,
it would be weird for that to be another city.
To be the Kansas Metropolitans. Like it's ironic.
No wonder you guys moved from Minnesota. That makes no sense at all.
The colors for the Mets being orange and blue. Giants, Dodgers.
Oh, that's cool.
So always a painful reminder of those two teams that are better than the Mets that got taken away from you.
That's funny. It's funny you say that their stadium was like, you said it was getting old, because now it is like still the oldest stadium.
Oh yeah, they kept it around, huh?
No, like the Dodgers stadium now, like
in LA?
In LA is now
really?
Like one of the oldest stadiums, because Boston has Wrigley Field has been rebuilt, and like all these other ones have been rebuilt because they're from like the 20s, like 100 years old. So it's like people are bigger than they used to be. So they don't anymore.
That's true. We had to widen all the seats. So let's talk about TV, huh? Number one program of the year, all year long, Gunsmoke. That's pretty common for back then. People like Westerns. We know that. Debut TV shows, only a couple that I really recognized. Make Me Laugh. There would be multiple iterations of that over the decades. Have you ever seen any of those? They remade it in like the 90s and the 70s. And I think they did one in like the 2000s. It's like just contestants have to sit there and just like stone face a comedian, as a comedian has to say like a minute's worth of jokes. And then like for every second they make it through without laughing, they make money. And you have to like sit through like 3 different comedians. Like, it seems like a nightmare as a comedian to have to sit there and don't laugh,
Yeah, make them laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to do that anyway. I guess it's the best
most
training there is.
Trying not to laugh, like actively, like.
I feel like I could sit there pretty stone cold face for a while.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
Pretty good jokes,
Yeah, I would
get paid for it.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the thing that would be hard, though, is if like you're
pinching
yourself
the whole time.
If you're a comedian and you're up there and like the person's like, that wasn't hard at all. I didn't have a damn problem with that one. Like that guy was super easy to sit there. Well, so anyway, that started this year. This is the first iteration of that.
Okay.
Also, this just was surprising to me, to be honest, was the Betty White show. I was like,
Jesus.
She was she has since passed. So I feel a little bad about it now, but I was just like, God damn, how old was Betty White?
Right. Rest in peace. She's awesome.
She was great, but man, she was not. It wasn't like she was a child, It wasn't like she wasn't up there tap dancing. This was a variety show she was hosting. It just went for a couple months from February to April of the year, so it wasn't a big deal. But it just shocked me to see her name on there, and I was like, "Is that can't be a different one, right?" Another thing that I've heard of before mentioned, and kind of just thought it was, I'd provide context for other people because it felt like when I read it, it made some sense to me. Was Colgate Theater? I don't know if that's something you've heard the name of. But like
toothpaste.
Yeah, it's like put on by that, because there were a lot of back then. There would be a lot of like sponsored television programs, because TV was so new, and so they need somebody to pay for this. So the Colgate Theater was just consisted entirely of unsold television pilots.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was just like a anthology series, like a mini movie of the week sort of deal, and it would just be drama episodes, and these are just sort of weird self-contained stories that you would never get to know any more of the characters or anything else from, but
that would be so cool if they did that now.
Yeah, right.
So really so much more opportunity.
That's a really cool idea.
Pilots.
Just like you'd be like Netflix, take all the stuff that they never
signed.
Got. Yeah, never made it to series. I guess stuff that they did buy, but they never like actually did anything with. So anyway, I've seen the name. Like I said, I've heard the name before, like in parodies and stuff like that. Watching. Like I feel like MTV Liquid Television or something like that would do a parody of this, maybe sort of thing. Be like, now on Colgate Theater, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all melodramatic. So I just feel like this jogged my memory when I looked into it. So thought I'd, like I said, maybe someone else has some more information and goes, oh, what you're thinking of is this thing. It was parodied on, because a lot of times that happens to me where it'll just be like, that was on one episode of Animaniacs or some shit. And like it just stuck
Yeah.
in my brain. And I'll be like, you know how people reference Colgate Theater? You know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
just was one thing. So
I don't know why I'm thinking of that 70s show.
it probably came up then too, because this would have been something they would have known about, you know, having been a
Yeah.
20-year-old thing at the time instead of being a 15-year-old thing, even instead of being a 70-year-old thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then two cartoons that came out this year that are both very noteworthy. First off, Felix the Cat. I always liked him a lot when I was a kid. He was my favorite cartoon feline when I was really little. My grandma had like the Felix the Cat movie that came out in like the 80s or 90s or something like that. And so I used to like to watch that one. But this is like when he became an animated series. He had already been a comic strip. And then the Huckleberry Hound show came out this year, which I recognize. He's kind of just one of the B characters in the whole Jellystone gang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's there a lot of the time. You know, he's out in the background, Quick Draw McGraw and Snagglepuss and shit. But I looked into it just to kind of get some more info about the show, as I am wont to do. This is actually the first appearance of Yogi Bear. I didn't know Yogi like started on the Huckleberry Hound show. He was a segment there.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, I was surprised because I thought he was just his own thing.
Yeah, I remember we mentioned when Yogi Bear got his own cartoon, but I guess I just assumed he was a part of an anthology series or like maybe a theatrical thing or something, but or like a group cartoon, not necessarily that he was on someone else's show as sort of a. I think he still had his own segment, but still, you know, he wasn't. It was sort of like Pinky and the Brain on Animaniacs, you know.
Yeah.
This is the first cartoon to ever win an Emmy.
Hell yeah.
In 1960, Huckleberry Hound, not Yogi Bear. This really like made Hanna-Barbera a formidable name in the cartoon industry. Prior to this,
I've only ever heard Disney. His name.
Hanna-Barbera?
Yeah.
Or Huckleberry Hound?
No, Hanna-Barbera.
It's two people. It's Joseph Hanna or William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, or Joseph Hanna and William Barbera. I don't remember. You know, Scooby, the Jetsons, and the Flintstones are kind of like their big bread and butter, as well as Yogi Bear. So I mean, they've done a bunch of these big cartoons. They're kind of like the other name in the classic animation game besides Warner Brothers and Disney. You know, they're sort of the third name out there.
Yeah.
And this really put them on the map. This made them like a success. Prior to this, there wasn't really much. There was like one cartoon that had been made for TV that I was able to locate, and it wasn't a success really. Prior to this, everything came out in theaters, and then maybe they would show them on TV, they repackage them and shit like that. But there was nothing that had been created for television before this show, really, and in color. Cool. I think this was the first one in color, I think. And so Saturday morning cartoons, they tried them out here, and they worked. So this was something that made people realize they could put money into producing animation for TV, and they didn't have to just go to theaters, which, you know, also legitimized television too. So like this really was a huge show that had a lot more implications than we really realized.
Yeah, because I mean, kids are a giant audience for TV. I would probably say more so than adults.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I was saying at the beginning of the episode. Like this is them going like, oh shit, if we make a cartoon, maybe this huge audience of people who don't have something to do all day, when they come home, they just want to be entertained. Then you plop them in front of fucking Huckleberry Hound.
Yeah, and Saturday morning cartoons would last forever. I'd say not forever because I think they're done now. But I mean, when we were kids, I was excited for Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah, waking up, having a bowl of cereal, and just like that's just what you did.
Yeah, you watch Fox Saturday Morning Kids or the ABC one. What was the ABC one called? Or I don't know. There's a lot of those good cartoon blocks.
Yeah.
I was thinking it made sense for it to be because I was just like, oh, of course we still know who Huckleberry Hound is, but he didn't have the success of the Flintstones, Jetsons, Scooby Doo, and all these other names that we would go on to remember forever. But it makes sense that he was the first one because people loved cowboy stuff back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this was like a slam dunk thing. Just like the Jetsons were like a kind of obvious thing for kids who were into the futuristic stuff that was going on in the 60s. This was like people love cowboy stuff. We got to do a cowboy cartoon. So it made sense.
October 17th, An Evening with Fred Astaire became the first TV show recorded on color videotape. It was broadcast on ABC and was live and had no edits.
Okay.
We talked about this before. I don't know how many people had color TVs to make that even an option.
Yeah.
But it's a step in that direction. So if you did have it, you could watch it. But if not, you probably just watched it black and white like everyone else.
So wild to think of, like, you know, now it's not that crazy to like push out a new technology. Like, it happens all the time now. But just back then, everyone just got on board with having a TV. And now you're expecting everybody to get a new one, a color one. Like, you know, and then everyone, I don't need that. I already, well, you know, this TV is cool. Maybe I don't know. Do I really need a color version of this thing too? And like, it'd be so easy to just have people. It's not worth going through all the trouble. We're gonna show this to one. Who's gonna watch this Fred Astaire thing? 2 people. Why would we waste money doing this?
Yeah.
But now you can't imagine a world if just everyone still was in black and white all the time because we just didn't.
Nobody decided to upgrade, but a lot of people weren't upgrading until the late 60s and 70s. It's like you shouldn't have the money for it, you know? And it's just one of those things. It's like, no, you have a TV, watch that, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then one thing I watched for preparation this week was The Rifleman.
Oh, cool.
It was another Western that came out this year. And one of the first things I noticed is one of the people in it is Dennis Hopper. He's 21 years old, very young guy, and I was like, I recognize him. I had to look it up, but yeah, he's
that's cool. Okay, let's adjourn. Let's turn off the TV. I don't know what a TV would sound like turning off in 1958. I wonder if it still had any of the same.
It's like a clip. Bam! It's like, Dad, don't shoot with the shotgun again. Gosh, just turn it off.
Oh, but now no more TV. We are on to the music for the year. We're going to look at the Billboard Hot 100, kind of, asterisk. We're going to take a look at the top 5 songs for the end of the year from the Billboard charts. This year is interesting. We've done some 50s years before, so we've run into some kind of, you know, some of the bullshit that goes on when it comes to putting this list together. This is the year that the Hot 100 debuted. So, for the first big portion of the year, it's all these other couple of charts that are kind of aggregated into being like important in varying degrees. You know, you have like the most played in jukeboxes, the most played by jockeys, and then the best sellers in stores, and all of those kind of, I think, are sort of put together. Oh, plus the honor roll of hits is another thing as well. Honor roll of hits, I believe, was talking about songs that weren't necessarily singles that were selling well and doing well, but just other songs, you know, so it wasn't tracking specifically singles. All of those would be kind of put together and aggregated into the top 100. So not the Hot 100, but the top 100. And that was all going on up until August 4th of 1958. That's when Billboard premiered the Hot 100 for the first time. First song on there was Poor Little Fool by Ricky Nelson. That was the first number 1 Hot 100. So we don't have a Hot 100 for the year's end. They didn't compile all that because that would be after, you know, not even half of the year's worth of songs. It'd be kind of silly. So they did do a top 50, which is what they had been doing up until that point for the Billboard. So they didn't do the Hot 100 year end, but they did give you a top 50. That's what we're pulling from. So we have the 5 songs off the top 50. Since it's only 50, I didn't do as big a list on Spotify as I normally do. Typically, I will do 50 songs from the top 100 and then a bunch of songs that came out this year. Much harder to find stuff. I have 35 songs from the top 50. That ends on Lonesome Me by Don Gibson. Then the other ones, 36 through 42, are just some bonus songs. But the rest of these are all from the top 50 if you want to check it out.
This is the first year I felt like we're doing something here, Trey. we're actually compiling a list of things that people have never done before. You know, like we're making history.
Yeah. I want to point out one more thing before we jump into this list, just if it might come up. At the beginning of the year, Billboard was still putting out both the R&B bestsellers in stores and the R&B most played by DJs. much in the same way that the rest of the charts were. And then this would be the first time on October 20th we would see the Hot R&B sides, is what it's called. So like the R&B chart as we know it was born this year, as well as the Billboard chart. Prior to like a couple years before this, it's really hard to figure out the timeline of everything. I've talked a little bit about before. It used to be called like the Hot Harlem songs. And then it was like Race Records was another thing. Like those were both going on at the same time. And then they changed the names in like 1945 or something like that to be R&B. And this was still those versions of the charts. So then they all got kind of melded together into one thing, October 20th of this year.
Okay.
It's just to say, it didn't mean necessarily the R&B chart was covering R&B music. It was just covering music that Black people listen to, like specifically. It was covering like the music that was popular in the city of Harlem, and then Race Records were the other thing. So like these were not. So a lot of songs this year pop up on the R&B chart that don't seem like they should be there, but that's because they were just popular in like Black neighborhoods. Okay, that's how they tracked it. All right. With that being said, let's jump on to the top 5.
All right. Number 5 is Patricia by Perez Prado. Released in June of 1958. The song became the last record to ascend to the number 1 Billboard, Jockeys, and the top 100 charts. Because then a couple of weeks after that is when, like Trey said, the Billboard Hot 100 charts would start occurring. The song was number 1 on R&B bestseller for 2 weeks.
See, there you go. This is not an R&B song at all. It just was popular in like Black neighborhoods. So that's why you're like, you put this on, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? This was like the hot R&B record. That's what they mean. Yeah, and that's mostly what I got about the song as well. I was able to dig this up here, so this is where I put all my research in. This song is sung by Homer Simpson in the final episode of season 1 of The Simpsons. Yeah, because so he just goes like, sung by is a funny thing, just a funny way to write this, because he's just like da 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 da.
Yeah, in the back of my mind, I was like, isn't this like a
he's just going like da da. Like I watched the episode, I rewatched the episode because I wasn't able to I would not have picked up that this was this song. I would have thought he was just doing da da thing, but I guess they had to like credit it to this song or something because that came up. Now this episode of The Simpsons was supposed to initially actually be the opening of season 1. This was supposed to be like the premiere episode of The Simpsons. It's called Some Enchanted Evening. That's kind of cool, kind of a fun little tie-in to something we're going to talk about later. Some Enchanted Evening, not on the Billboard charts, but a different segment of the show. That was actually supposed to be the opening for the entire show, but they did the principal animation here. Klasky Supo is the animators who were doing the first season. They sent it overseas to do like they send them to like Korea and stuff a lot to do like the actual in betweening, they call it, like all of the non-important kind of like transitional scenes, like swiping the camera, and like the animation, like the coloring and filming, all that kind of stuff. When it came back, producer James L. Brooks said, "This is shit." So they like thought about actually quitting doing the show. They weren't going to do The Simpsons anymore because like we just can't. This looks bad. I don't want to make this show. Essentially, they're like, I don't want to put our names on this and actually make this a thing. They ended up getting the second episode back and it looked better. But like a big thing that they were worried about is the fact that the animation style came out looking like they were aiming more for a Hanna-Barbera look, specifically, is what they said, and not a Disney or a Warner Brothers look where everything's like rubbery and cartoony. They wanted things to be like static and like realistic, and that's like sort of. So they had to redo the episode. They ended up making the Christmas episode be their premiere. So that made they had to debut it in December, so it gave them extra time to fix everything in this episode. So they said they ended up having to redo about like 70% of the episode.
Oh dang.
The doors, like one of the few things that are still kind of there is the doors still kind of bounce around like they would be like in a wacky old timey Disney cartoon. But The Simpsons doesn't have things like that. Like the characters don't stretch when they run and things, and that's what they were trying to avoid in this. So I rewatched this episode. I hadn't seen this one in a while. For season 1. It's a good episode. It introduces all the characters. It's kind of cool. It feels like a good season 1 ender. It's kind of interesting that it was supposed to be the opener. It's supposed to introduce you to all the characters, and like it's an episode where Marge is like fed up with Homer right off the bat. She's like, I'm gonna get a divorce unless he comes back and gives me a date, gives me flowers, and then they go out on a date and stuff. So you're like, man, she's already at her wit's end. Also, she says she's 34 in the episode, and that blew my mind. Now that I'm 33. Damn, I'm almost as old as Marge. So, there you go. That's all the information I had about Patricia by Perez Prado. There you go. That's about it. All right, let's move on to number 4. It's another song that has ties to a cartoon. Number 4 is Witch Doctor by David Seville. This came out on April 21st of 1958, as far as I can tell. Spent 3 weeks at the top of the top 100. 2 weeks on top of the best sellers in stores and the honor roll of hits. It was written and performed by Ross Bagdasarian, whose stage name is David Seville. Now, Ross, it was just of note, I guess, is that he was a pianist for the movie Rear Window. Thought that was kind of cool. So he had kind of a little bit of a musical background.
Okay.
At least, professionally. He spent $200 on a fancy tape recorder at the time, which $200 was a lot back then.
Yeah.
And he came up with this song just from the title of a book on his bookshelf that mentioned witch doctors. And so he just thought, let me figure out a way to make this. And as he was fucking around with his tape recorder, he came up with the idea of recording at half speed and singing slowly and then playing it back at normal speed so the voices
sped up.
Yeah, sped up at the right timing, but sped up. So he's just talking to himself. He would, of course, reuse this technique later on. This year, he would come out with 2 more songs that use the same technique. The next one was The Bird on My Head, which, also, it didn't do as well as this one, but it was okay as well. And then the thing that really blew up later on would be the Chipmunk song, parentheses, Christmas, Don't Be Late. Of course, ushering in Alvin and the Chipmunks, who, we've seen later on and stuff. They're obviously, who Alvin and Chipmunks are. Folks, Chipwrecked, you've seen it. The Squeakquel, I don't have to tell you anything about these things. So, yeah, it's funny that this was so high up. This is also what I was talking about. This funny ass kids song was number 4 in the country. It's pretty, there just wasn't a whole lot of entertainment back then. So Witch Doctor comes in at number 4. It saved the label Liberty Records, literally. They were filing bankruptcy at the time when he came in. And then he showed them this song and they're like, all right, we'll give it a fucking shot, I guess. And then,
what else we gotta lose? Our company?
Yeah, literally. They were like, might as well. This is sure, let's do an ill-advised song. And then saved them, saved their asses, saved their hides, and they didn't have to close.
Yeah, when I read all of this, I was like, oh yeah, Dave's the guy's the name of the human.
Alvin's friend,
Chipmunks. Yeah.
Or owner or whatever, dad. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Adopted father.
Yeah, it's funny. It's I guess owner would make the most sense. They're pets, right? But we know they seem too human-like. They go to bed in beds and
he puts them to sleep and
yells
at them like they're kids.
Yeah. I guess that's all stuff that I do with my dogs. Scream at them at the top of my lungs. No, that's I really enjoyed Alvin and the Chipmunks when I was a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
I
remember this song. This song was super. I feel like it was popular when we were kids. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There must have been some. I know that they reused this many times over the years as a Chipmunk song. This would come out on Chipmunks records and stuff, as if they were the ones who came out with it first. But it's just a floating around song. I think there must have been some other thing that it was tied to when we were kids. I feel like there was a cartoon. Resurgence. Yeah, there was a music video maybe that came out when we were kids that was popular. That was a cartoon animated music video, maybe. I don't know. Just kind of because I do know the song ooh ee ooh ah ah, it was so in our heads. I think there was also some. There's been countless remixes of it over the years. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe it was on one episode of Animaniacs.
I could see that.
This same year, there would be a bunch of copycat people, stuff like that, as there is always. It's just interesting to see. That's always how things are. Someone else comes out with a good idea, and you're like, oh shit, let me try that. The big one that charted really well this year. Ended up on our top 50 for the year. And I think most people know it as well, is Sheb Wooley's Purple People Eater.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He does the same. I wouldn't eat you. You're so tough. This year as well, the Big Bopper would come out with a song called The Purple People Eater Meets the Witch Doctor. Just a parody of those two, kind of making fun of them, sort of,
Yeah.
But the B-side to that song is Chantilly Lace, which is like a super famous song, his most popular song. And it was just the B-side to like a normal, serious, good song. It was the B-side to this silly thing. So it ended up overtaking it, and now no one knows about this. The fact that the original A-side was this silly parody song.
Well, that's
This song,
good. It's better to be the other way around.
yeah, exactly. You try to come out with like a good song, and then everyone's like, wait, play that funny one. This song also hit number 1 on the R&B charts. So one other one that, again, black kids like Alvin and the Chipmunks too. You know what I mean? All right. That's it for Witch Doctor, I think.
All right. Moving on to number 3. Don't by Elvis and the Jordanaires. Jordanaires?
Yeah, probably.
One of those things. I don't know. Written by Jerry LeBur.
The Jordanstein Bears.
Written by Jerry LeBur and Mike Stoller. Released on July 7th, 1958. Reached number 1 in the top 100, and it peaked at number 4 on the R&B charts and number 2 on the country music charts. This was Elvis's 11th number 1 hit. Also, Elvis would be drafted or go into the army this year.
I have a good amount of information about that. I was going to save that for like just general information, but it fits better here because I don't have shit about this song. The only other thing I was going to say is that it's featured in the movie Dave. I had more pop culture shit about this one.
This was a hard one to find any information on. I looked
nothing at all
everywhere. We have just as much information as the entirety of the internet in those couple of sentences that I just said, just to let everybody know.
Well, let me add. I will add, just because this might actually make us more than most people. It also spent 5 weeks. No, it hit. Unless it hit number 5 on. It spent 5 weeks on the bestsellers in stores list, and also 1 week on the most played by jockeys. So there we go. We got the other 2 lists that it hit on there. That makes it a little more complete. But instead of worrying too much about that, I'll just throw in my Elvis going into the army bit here. I feel like that'll pad this section a little bit. Elvis went into the U.S. Army on March 24th of 1958. His basic and advanced training took place between March 28th and September 17th. He recorded 5 songs in the 2-week leave between basic and advanced training. And that would be it for the next 2 years, I think, like as far as I can tell, at least for this year. For 1958, he only got those out.
Yeah, when I saw him chart and then I saw that he went into the army, I was like, damn, killing it. Like, how do you even do that? But
this one was recorded before he got drafted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he did record more, like right after, between going into doing his training, he recorded a couple more songs. And
Korea?
then,
Was he going to Korea?
I don't know where he went.
It was a Korean War. 1950 to 1958 was a Korean War. So yeah, he was here right at the end.
Okay. Well, he was in the army for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, he spent a full 24 months in the army, which is nuts. I didn't realize he was there for. I mean, I thought he did like 6 months, which is still a long time, But he was serious about it. He really was. First off, Colonel Tom Parker, his manager, his fucking weirdo manager, he kind of like told Elvis, like, don't worry about it. When he found out he was going to get drafted, he said, don't worry about it. We'll get it fucking taken care of. We'll get you. So this won't be an issue. Don't even stress it. I think actually he told him he wasn't even going to get drafted. So then when he did get drafted, he was like, what the fuck? What are we going to do now? And so they initially were like, they asked, can he be put on special dispensation, to just go and do like entertain the troops and just serve a couple months and come back. But Tom Parker like that's not a good idea. Everyone's going to think you're taking the celebrity wimp out and they're going to think less of you. And this was a time when Elvis was he had a lot of heat, like controversy in the US because most parents and religious figures, which were super important at the time, politicians, they all didn't like him. Teenagers did, but that was it. So, I mean, he was popular with the kids who bought the records, but everybody else in power wanted him gone. So people were pretty stoked that he was leaving. And it cleaned up his image a little bit in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically decided to put him in the real army and like actually send him out and say, no, don't give him any special training or anything. Like let's have him be a full on regular soldier. He was in the 1st Medium Tank Battalion, an armor intelligence specialist. And on November 27th of this year, 1958, he got promoted to private first class. So I think he might have gotten up higher than that. I just looked at this year to see what he had done. But so, yeah, I mean, he was actually like a good soldier.
Good for him.
Yeah, one super unfortunate thing that happened to him during this time was that his mom, on August 12th, she fell ill. And he was granted leave to go visit her because she was getting sicker. And she got hepatitis and like ended up getting her like heart failure, and she died after 2 days at 46 years old. He was able to go see her. Yeah, he did get to go see her, but he was there for like 2 days, and she passed away while he was there.
46?
Yeah, only 46. She had developed cirrhosis of the liver, and people said like she started drinking heavily to kind of combat the depression she was feeling from getting drafted, and then as well as just dealing with his fame. But it's like, damn, I mean, that seems he just got drafted, so it feels like I don't know you could do that much damage.
I don't think you'd get cirrhosis of the liver after 6 months of drinking.
Yeah, so I don't know. Who knows what she had done before that, but either way, really sad. He had a really close relationship with his mom, so that really fucked him up going forward. And this is, at this point, he comes back. We talked about when he came back. People were super stoked, and he did have some more chart success. So this didn't derail his career, but there you go. That's the story of Elvis going into the army. Let's jump on over to number 2. Number 2 is I was going to say this is maybe the most well-known song from the list, but probably Witch Doctor is, I would say.
Yeah.
Number 2 is All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers, also known as the Forverly Brothers. This came out on April 21st of 1958. It spent 4 weeks on the bestsellers in stores list, 5 on the top played by jockeys, and 3 in the top 100. It's the only song ever to chart at number 1 on all of those Billboard charts simultaneously.
Damn.
So, and then can't do it now. No one else is going to be able to do that shit because those charts aren't around anymore. It spent 21 weeks on British charts. So it's super popular over there. It's listed at number 141 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. The song was recorded in 2 live takes. And we've heard that before about the Everly Brothers, that they would just record their shit live. Mm-hmm. and really quick, too. They'd get it done in a couple takes, and that was it. They were in and out. And they a lot of times shared a microphone. Like they were pretty like real in there, like doing this. You're recording us performing the song, not just like getting the best version of everything. The music lives in the performance, which is a cool way to think about it, I guess. Especially for back then, it made more sense.
Yeah, let's go in there, do it, and what you get is what you get. I mean, editing, I'm sure, was different and more difficult.
The B-side for this song was called Claudette, and that was the first success at all for Roy Orbison in like the songwriting world. This was him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of after he got success with the song, once it went big, he quit his job so he could like pursue music full time. A version for this one that I listened to was by Linda Ronstadt and Kermit the Frog.
Hell yeah.
They did a version for the 1994 album Kermit Unpigged. It's like
broke up with that bitch.
She's like missing or something. Like I listened to that song. I've like seen that album before, and I don't really remember exactly what the whole deal is, but like I think they're putting on a show and he can't find Piggy and she can't find him, so he's like, oh, where's Piggy? Have you seen her? And then Linda's like, no, but I need your help. I need you to record this song with me. He's like, oh, I don't know if I should, But then the best part is like when the part like in the song they say, when I feel blue, he's like, or green. We had him bumping it up a little bit. Okay, that's all I got for this one. I'll finish it off with where it showed up in pop culture.
This next one, probably the most information out of anything on the charts that I found.
Yeah, I was actually like really this one. I was like going into this song. I thought, great, here's another one I'm not going to be able to find anything about, and ended up with a fuck ton of information about.
Yeah. All right, bear with me here because I am Italian, but I do not speak the language. So some of these names. All right, this song is called, number one is Voler by Domenico Mondugano, aka El Blue de Pito de Blue, or In the Sky, I Was Painted Blue. It was released on February 1st, 1958, written by Domenico Mondugano and Franco Miligacci. The song spent 5 non-consecutive weeks atop of the Billboard Hot 100 from August to September.
The actual Hot 100 this time too. We know this was the second ever song to top the Hot 100, but because this is after August, we know this one's actually Hot 100.
Yes.
So we don't have to worry about what other charts it fucking charted on. Just 5 non-consecutive weeks on the Hot 100.
But in 1959, at the first annual Grammy Awards, the record became the first ever Grammy winner for both Record of the Year and Song of the Year.
The song actually debuted at number 54 on the first Hot 100. So, the very first week it was out, it was number 54. Then it jumped all the way up to number 2 the second week, which is the largest jump to the second spot that's ever occurred in the chart's history. So, yeah, more like sports records that never got broken, more fucking music records that don't get broken. Yeah. The first non-American song to top the Hot 100, obviously, it was pretty quickly on the Hot 100, but it would be the only one to do so until 1994's The Sign by Ace of Base.
Oh, shit.
So no other non-American song topped the Hot 100 for that whole time.
And this was the
shocking
first one to do it, or close to the first one to do it, at least.
Yeah, it would have been crazy for it to be like just right out the gate.
Yeah.
It also, in addition to winning Eurovision, it won the San Remo Music Festival, which is like an Italian song contest, and it's the basis and inspiration for Eurovision. So this was like the precursor to that. This was, I think, the 8th San Remo, and it was only the 3rd ever Eurovision this year. It's also the only ever Eurovision winner to win a Grammy. So I don't know if you're like precluded now if you do if it's like a Eurovision song. They're like, you already won the Europe honor. Let's just go ahead and say you're the best song in Europe. Let's deal with our songs over here or something. The 50th anniversary of Eurovision. This was chosen as one of 14 songs by fans and the European Broadcasting Union as like representative of the best songs from all of Eurovision's history. Out of all 992 songs that have ever been entered, this was chosen as one of 14. And this finished second as like the favorite Eurovision song of all time, behind Waterloo by ABBA, which is a great song. I love that song.
Yeah. We talked about when that happened too.
Yeah. In the 76 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is considered one of the best, just much like the greatest game ever played. This is still considered one of the best Eurovision songs of all time, even though it didn't win, which is surprising too. It's like it's like possibly the most financially successful Eurovision song ever.
Yeah.
And also is shocking for the fact that it didn't win. The one I also did include on the Spotify list, Dor Mon Amour by Andre Claveau. That's the song that won Eurovision this year. So if you do want to see what like took the actual prize from Eurovision, it's on our Spotify list. But
okay,
crazy that it did, 3rd at Eurovision behind this song. But this song, that Andre Claveau song did not chart in the US, but this one took number 1. According to the Italian Society of Authors and Publishers, this is the most played Italian song both in Italy and worldwide of all time.
Damn, I could see it. I mean, I was
surprised it overtook Hey Mambo Italiano.
Yeah, but that's an American, right? Isn't that Dean Martin?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's either Dean Martin or Perry Como. I can't remember actually, because they both had a mambo song that year.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Dean Martin though.
You know what? After listening this
Papa
stuff
Loves
more
Mambo
and more,
was Perry Como. That's right.
Oh yeah. Listening to this stuff more and more, I do not like Perry Como.
No,
not really.
Papa Loves Mambo.
And then he came out with a couple of songs on this chart, and I was like, I don't like this song either. Catch a Falling Star. I did not like that song.
Oh, that reminds me immediately of let's go ahead and take a look at you're done with this list, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, top five.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna look at the rest of the Spotify list. It's a great place to start. Number 7 on here. I did put the top 10 of the year. So number 7 is Perry Como's Catch a Falling Star. Obviously immediately makes me think of The Princess Diaries.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the song that they have to sing in the beginning of that movie. So I think of this song every time. I mean, I think of that movie every time I hear this song. Tequila, that was kind of shocking. It's because it made me think like, oh yeah, there was music that was kind of rock and rolly before this. We've talked about a lot of rock and roll music. Like that's what I was saying in the beginning too. Like it seems like they were kind of trying to ignore the teenager shit they kind of built up in the last couple of years. They were thinking, we've created a monster. They like switchblades. They listen to rock and roll. We need to chill. We need to tamp out, you know? So they started to kind of like not that, like none of that stuff was as popular. And Tequila shocked me when I heard it. And I was like, oh man, I would have thought this was a 60s song maybe. And I was like, this isn't that different than stuff that had come before it. It's just way different than the other shit around it at this point.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the rest of this stuff seems very early 50s to me.
But there's a lot of references to rock and roll in these songs.
But yeah, stuff like At the Hop, you know, that's one that I was surprised wasn't. I would have thought that, knowing what we just came from the years prior to this, with like Bill Haley and his Comets being so popular and Elvis Presley and all that shit, you would think that the top songs would have been At the Hop, Yakety Yak, and Rockin' Robin. But those are all like way lower in the list, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I liked those. So, I mean, those are the ones I would think of when I think of this year. Probably are those 3 specifically. They all happen to be right in a row, but those are good ones. Great Balls of Fire is another one. Kind of shocked me wasn't higher up. It was pretty low down. Splish Splash by Bobby Darin. Lollipop by the Chordettes. Like there are a lot of really iconic songs. Like we just talked about 5 songs that no one has ever heard of other than Witch Doctor. I mean, All I Have to Do Is Dream is okay, but you know, nobody knows Patricia or Don't. People nowadays probably don't really know Volare. Did you know that one? Recognize it before we started?
I recognized it. I could sing you I was singing the chorus along the first time I listened to it. I don't know where I heard it or how.
Yeah, it's
I
just one
heard
of those
it,
songs that's like in movies. It's in the background. Volare.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. But yeah, I mean, you go down to the lower parts and you see, like I said, Rockin' Robin and Lollipop and Splish Splash, and that's all stuff that you've listened to your whole life.
Yeah, it's true.
Only other thing I wanted to point out about the list this year was the Sugar Time song. I didn't know that was like the basis of the Bagel Bites song. So it's like sugar in the morning, sugar in the evening, sugar at supper time. When pizza's on a bagel.
That's funny.
But that's pretty much it. You got anything else you want to say about these top 100?
I saw that you put a song from the movie of the year this year, but actually that was not the one that I recognized.
Well, the movie that the song is from, South Pacific. This film came out on April 14th of 1958, directed by Joshua Logan. The screenplay was written by Paul Osborne, adapted from the musical by Rodgers and Hammerstein, which was based on the book Tales of the South Pacific by James A. Michner. This starred Rossano Brasi, Mitzi Gaynor, and John Kerr. It had a budget of $6 million, only grossed back $458,000.
What?
So I would think that's a flop in my book, but I didn't really see much about it being a flop, so that was surprising to me. On a South Pacific island during World War II, love blooms between a young nurse and a secretive Frenchman who's being courted for a dangerous military mission. Had you ever seen South Pacific in your life before this?
I had not. Have you?
No, I had not. Were you familiar with, we'll start there. Were you familiar with any of the music? We did have one of the songs on the playlist this week.
Yeah, the one that she sings on the beach, I'm in love with the wonderful guy. I recognize that right away because I'm pretty sure it's on Fallout, one of the Fallout games.
The game, not the show?
No, not. I mean, it might be on the show. I haven't seen the entirety of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're walking around the wasteland, that's one of the ones that plays on there.
Okay. I mean, I could see that. That makes sense. I haven't played the Fallout games, but I know their general. Like, isn't one of the big songs from like I don't want to set the world on fire?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Just basically 50s like nostalgia.
was actually surprised to see that it was from a movie.
It just seems like a song that would exist on the radio back then.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The one that I included on the playlist was I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. That's the only one I had heard, and I think it's funny that happens so often to me, where there'll be like there's some song that I'm like, oh yeah, this was popular at the time, or has been popular in this was popular back in the '70s or something like that. So like that's why I know it. And then there's some reference that's very modern that I don't know and I missed out on. It's like everybody knows this other thing that I'm not aware of. So this one, I've kind of heard this in reference before. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I don't think I'd ever even heard it. I just heard other people singing it.
Yeah.
So it's like one that musical theater people like and will sing. Like, I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. You know,
Nerds.
Yeah, like it's a fun song to sing if you're. Oh, I'm gonna take a bath. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. You know what I mean? Like it fits into a lot of scenarios in life. So, in 1958, you were either singing this. You're like, I'm gonna take a bath. You're either singing that, or you're singing, "Oh, splish splash, I was taking a bath."
I still sing that every time I take a shower or a bath. Doesn't matter as long as I'm wet.
It's a funny song, that Splish Splash song. Like that, there's like I never really listened to the lyrics to that one. That there's like a party going on, and he's like, "Hey, fuck it, I'm done with my bath." No, I didn't know any of the music really from this. I mean, like I said, even that one, I just had heard people singing that part of it. So when it came on, I barely even recognized it when it was happening on screen. I was like, "This is that song." I thought the music for this was like super weak, to be honest.
I agree.
Almost none of it is memorable. Even that song, like just that line. But if you had to keep going, I don't remember how any of the rest of the melody goes, really, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The one that was my favorite song that I thought was pretty good was Bally High. That song was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, Bally High will find you. That one was cool. But that other than that, I find that about a lot of classic musicals, that like the melody lines of many of the songs aren't like catchy to me. They don't seem to make any sense. They're not like impressive. I don't get why people like them a lot of the times, you know? This is one of those movies where I didn't really care for the music.
No, I agree. Like I said, the only reason I like that or like that one song is that I recognized it from that game.
Yeah.
Other than that, I could care less about. And I don't know. I think music in these kind of movies becomes redundant because it's not like explaining a lot. It's not like pushing the story forward. Sometimes they do, but not so much in this. But not so much in this movie, you know.
This was a fuck ton of music too. There were some times where a song would end and they'd start a new song right away, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are we really jumping into another song right now?" And neither one was worth doing, honestly.
Yeah,
long movie too, 2.5 hours. So, yeah, I definitely felt like some of the stuff was a little superfluous. Like you're just singing for the fuck of it at this point. Also, one thing that we've talked about before when we did West Side Story. I'm not usually someone who cares about, are they singing or dancing in real life? But sometimes something will happen in one of these films that makes you go, well, now you just called it into question. And there's a part when she's singing, I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair. When Neil DeBeck rides up to her, he's all like, oh, what were you just singing? An American song? And she's like, oh, it's something like an American style song with different lyrics or something like that. But it's like, so you guys are singing and dancing this whole time for real?
Yeah,
you just established that fact that you guys are really singing this whole time now? I have to fucking know that's what's going on, you know? The whole time
is that what you guys are really doing in the South Pacific, the Marines or Army, whatever you guys are?
Yeah. So everything so far was like the Marines really fucking like rehearsed all these numbers about Bloody Mary and stuff like that. Like, what the fuck? Why are they wasting their time doing this? This is an interesting movie to watch now with our modern day eyes, or our woefully modern eyes, because this was scandalous. This film. Mm-hmm. It was highly shocking for audiences to see an interracial couple on screen. That was not really okay back then, actually, like for a lot of people. And this film actually got a lot of boycotts in certain areas of the U.S. I'll leave it up to you to try to figure out which parts. They boycotted the film for the song "You've Got to Be Carefully Taught."
Oh yeah.
Specifically pointing out like this is why you're taught how to be racist, and they're like, no, we were born this way. You know? I don't know how they sound. That was wrong of me to put on a voice. I should have like some mid-Atlantic. No, we were born this way. We were racist since birth. I guess those people probably are racist too.
Either way, you're hitting on the head.
Yeah. Speaking of the racial inconsistencies of the day, I guess. Juanita Hall, who plays Bloody Mary, she actually was a black woman. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I wouldn't have guessed that. She plays a convincing Polynesian person, or Vietnamese, I guess is how she's supposed to be in the movie.
Yeah.
She actually did play Bloody Mary on Broadway as well. And so she's the only person reprising her role out of the whole cast.
Okay.
Interestingly, though, she sang her songs on Broadway, obviously. You don't have someone dub you over on Broadway. But in the film, they dubbed her over using Muriel Smith, who'd played Mary in the stage productions in London.
Okay.
So I don't know why you would cast one person for the visuals and the talking parts and then not use her singing voice. If she was capable enough to do it on Broadway, is a little weird. I guess you just...
Yeah, if you're capable to do it on Broadway, you're definitely capable to do it in a movie.
Yeah, I guess you're picking and choosing your favorite Bloody Mary. You know, you're taking the two part. I liked her performance and the way she looked and acted it, but I liked her singing style, so I'm just gonna use both.
Yeah.
Some other casting stuff. There, not a whole ton about this one, but the people who were in contention for the role of Nellie Forbush were Judy Garland, Elizabeth Taylor, Doris Day, Audrey Hepburn, and Ginger Rogers, all in consideration. So they were just kind of throwing anybody who was famous at the wall. Ginger Rogers was like 45 or something at this point, so she was a little older than the character. Probably should, they were looking at for real. I think they were just like, fucking anybody will do at this point. They just wanted a star. And something that was interesting was, I guess, because of like the background of Mitzi Gaynor, like she was used to doing Broadway and like doing auditions and doing all that stuff. And a lot of these other women were like so famous and far into their careers that they didn't want a screen test. And she's like, I'll do it. So because of that, they went with her because she showed them how she was going to look on screen and and how it was going to go. So they were down to work with her. I actually watched some of her screen tests. Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see. It's interesting to see a look into how they made movies so long ago, that it's kind of similar to how they do it now, I guess.
Yeah.
The only other cool casting thing I have here is when we were watching it, Megan was like, damn, that guy's got a crazy voice. And I was like, that sounds like Thurl Ravenscroft. And she was like, what what did you just say? So I paused it. And on Amazon, when you pause it, it has like the in this scene feature,
Mm-hmm.
And I looked, I was like, it is Thurl Ravenscroft. Look at that. Got it right away on the first guess.
Damn.
He plays the singing voice of Stu Pot, like the big burly soldier guy in the beginning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like with the ridiculous deep voice.
Mm-hmm.
He only plays the singing voice, though. That's what bummed me out because I was like so excited. I was like, that's what Thurl Ravenscroft looked like. He's like the actor is known for being the voice of Tony the Tiger, as well as You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's like the deepest voice from back then guy. And I was like, oh, that's what he looks like. But no, the guy on screen was Ken Clark was the guy's name. And he just played the singing voice. So they did a lot of dubbing over people's voices. But I was bummed out. I was all excited to see him. I was like, damn, he's like younger and way different looking than I would have imagined. But I was tricked. Tricked by him and Juanita Hall.
Say, trick me because I thought that guy was singing. Ken Clark?
Yeah.
It's like it looks like that voice would come out of that guy.
Yeah, it matched his like talking voice close enough too.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound like wildly different. So I was like, I guess that is. Oh, he doesn't speak as deeply in normal conversation as you would imagine, but you can see how he would project and make his voice like that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why this won an Oscar for Best Sound.
Okay.
So they did do a good job making that Thurl Ravenscroft voice look real.
Yeah.
They also were nominated for Best Cinematography in color. I thought that was kind of cool at this point. There were color and black and white distinctions. And also Best Music / Scoring of a Motion Picture. So they didn't win for the music on this one. They just got nominated.
Okay.
I agree.
Do you know who won?
I don't know who won. Let's see. The best music was Gigi, which also won best. Oh, there's a best song category, and nothing from this film was nominated for best song.
There you go.
So yeah, this is not just us saying the music on this was not that good. They weren't even out of 5 different songs from movies. The Academy didn't feel it was worth nominating this one. The director of this movie, one thing that I liked a lot about it actually when I was watching it and I didn't expect to have happen was the filters coming on.
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that too.
I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was neat. Like, oh, they're in love. It's all pink. Oh, they're sad. It's all blue. You know, like I thought it was neat. Like it's maybe it's not like the most elegant or unique idea, but I mean, I can't think of too many movies that actually do that. You know, maybe it's a little on the
No.
nose and obvious, but I liked it.
I think that I think they were really trying to harp in on the color aspect of everything.
I mean, the colors were gorgeous. The movie was shockingly beautiful to watch. I kind of was like, am I watching like a remastered version or something? Because this looks so good for 1958.
Yeah. That has to do with a lot of the shooting. So a lot of times they wouldn't shoot for like days on end because there'd be a lot of clouds and like the lighting wouldn't be right. So that seems like they put a lot of time and effort into the way that it looked.
Yeah, when I looked it up, it was like the only real concrete reason I could find was that it was like used to cover up some of the fluctuations in the weather that were occurring. You know, so that way if it was stormy during one take, it wouldn't look as bad in another take. Because shooting them acting was easier than shooting them singing. You know, because it took more
Yeah.
coverage and things like that. So to make the fluctuations less obvious, and then to also delineate between the two, but that seems unnecessary. I don't know why you need to like visually show the difference between songs and non-songs. I don't think audiences needed that either. I think it just kind of was an artistic choice that he was making, and then after the fact, he really regretted it. And like during the shooting of it, his cameraman Leon Shamroy was like complaining the whole time, like telling him, "Don't. This is gonna look stupid." And a lot of people did think it looked bad. Like it's one of the main complaints about the movie. It wasn't well received. And Joshua Logan regretted using them. He said that they came out like way more extreme than he had initially intended for them to be. He kind of just wanted it to be like a suggestion of color, and it ended up being pretty obvious and dominating. Leon Shamroy, that cameraman, he ended up writing a letter after when the film actually was released and saw how the finished product looked. He wrote a letter to Josh Logan, who replied saying that it had made him $3 million, so he wasn't too concerned. Reportedly. I don't know. Who knows if that's true? That's the cameraman's word.
I don't know. I guess, like you said, I liked that aspect of it. I thought it was different and unique and something that you don't see. I didn't expect it either. Like,
yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was worth doing, and maybe it was a little bit extreme, but I still thought it was cool. It was, like I said, it's worth doing in a movie, I suppose. This is the only Rodgers and Hammerstein adaptation to have all of the songs completely intact from like the stage production to the film version. So,
okay.
Like they also did Sound of Music that has good music in it. Like so, for out of all of their musicals that made it fully intact, why did it have to be this one? You know, it's like the least good music, at least are the ones I know. There also was even one that was cut from the original version that was restored and put into this one. So like it said bonus music. They said like an extra bonus track on it, and still none of it's that good. My Girl Back Home was the one that was cut from the original production, but added into the movie. Just in terms of the movie itself, there were a couple of funny parts to it, I guess, or like things that made me laugh. Like right away when they were talking and Cable's explaining the mission that he's on, and he's like, I have to meet this Frenchman. He lives somewhere here. He's got a farm. He used to be a plantation owner there. Like he's this guy from France. He's a civilian here. Explains this whole story, and then the guy goes, "What's his name?" And he's like, Neil DeBeck, and he goes like, "Oh, you mean the guy who lives right fucking there? Like fucking 5 feet that way?" Yeah, okay. I probably could have stopped you when you first started telling the story and said, "Hold on, is it Neil DeBeck? Because I can ring his doorbell from here if you want me to." You know?
Did a rock break his window?
Yeah. Oh, Frenchman, huh? I'll let you finish before I offer up who I might think it might be. Because you might say, and by the way, he doesn't live anywhere fucking near here. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, it's not Neil DeBeck because he lives literally a few feet from here. I was like, wow, sir, I can really see how you made it to the rank of general. It's that power of deductive reasoning. I think it's the same general, actually, that had another line that made me laugh, was right at the very end when Nellie like runs in and she's all upset when she finds out that Neil has gone on this mission. And she's like, does he even have a chance of making it or whatever? And she's like all upset and like, why didn't he tell me? And she's running out. And the general guy goes like, now don't blame Neil DeBeck. He's okay. He's a wonderful guy. And she's like running away. I was like, what? Why did you say he's a wonderful guy?
And then he's
Did
like,
Neil tell
he
you
has
to
a
say
chance,
that?
right? He has a chance, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I was like, how did he's a wonderful guy slip in there? Did he tell you to say that? Like, listen, if Nelly complains, let her know I'm a wonder. Make sure you talk me up. No, don't blame Neil. He's a wonderful guy. He's got a huge dick. He knows exactly how to treat a woman. He buys flowers for every girl he's ever met. I just remembered is that you pointed out the song. I would have forgotten about it completely. There's the song I'm in love with a wonderful guy. Maybe that's why he's saying he's a wonderful guy. Remember, you sang that song about him. Just pointing out.
Remember that time on the beach?
Don't forget that song.
You were in love with a wonderful guy.
Wash that man right back into your hair. Condition him back in. Whatever it takes. Don't you understand?
All right, out of
1958.
hula skirts.
Yeah, that was one thing I didn't understand. Was the hula skirts thing was like, who's buying them? What was that? Like, it's like
I
it
don't
kinda,
understand
They didn't
either.
really like go into it. They were like, listen, I'm upset about you selling these hula skirts because we want to sell them to you, or something. He was like, I'm gonna sell you a bunch of hula skirts when they showed up, and then a different guy came up and
he's
was like,
like,
I'm
"You
mad that
guys-
she's selling them.
I think he was mad that she was like almost employing or encouraging or employing these guys to not do their job, but they were making hula skirts instead.
But the thing was that they like when they first showed up, the army guys were like, we can make a bunch of these hula skirts really quickly, and we'll sell them to you, and you buy them from us,
And then you can sell them to the Islanders. But why
To the-
wouldn't
to
the
tourists?
Islanders?
or to who? Yeah, who's buying the hula skirts? What was this whole hula skirt industry?
I
just didn't
think it
understand.
was the Islanders, but it
buying
was
and
like,
who's
why
selling
would the
them?
Islanders buy something that
But they
native
were
that
making
they?
them though. That's what they were saying. They were like because they were mad that they were making them. She was employing the Islanders to make them, and he was like, "You should be employing our guys, and we'll sell them to you. Then you buy them, and then you sell them. I think to tourists, I guess. But who was? I guess Neil DeBeck was there. So I suppose
But he
people
was.
were
Wait, wasn't
touristing
that the
there.
French guy? He was
Yeah.
there because he had to be, because he killed a guy in France, not because he wanted to be.
Yeah, but he's still like it wasn't like he was hiding out. He was like a known person there. He was still like a Frenchman who was there. So I think it's like somewhere that people came to. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like maybe on vacation, possibly. It wasn't like it was a deserted island or like a war-torn island. He was just on
Yeah.
he was on a fantasy island that not nobody lives there, but you can go. Possibly, like jet travel's new. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So I don't know. I really don't know the logistics here, but at any rate,
that
how
means
many
it's a
hula
perfect
skirts?
item to use. It makes
Yes,
no
that-
sense.
1958 hula skirts. I think I am going to give this one 1,458 hula skirts.
That's higher than I expected you to say.
Once it came out of my mouth, I thought the same thing.
I'm gonna give it 1,301 hula skirts.
It's probably closer to what I meant to say, but you know how the rules are. We can't amend our decisions. We're just
No,
like the
stay
Supreme Court.
forever.
Is that how that works? I don't know what's going on anymore. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. All right, let's get on to the rest of the box office. The rest of the top 5 on the box office are movies that range from I think I've heard of that. So like, what the hell is that? Number 2 is Auntie Mamie. When I looked that up, I was expecting to see something extremely racist, but it's like a British thing. It's like she's like some crazy Auntie Mamie. I didn't watch it, but I was expecting it to be something much different. Number 3 in the country was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I have heard of that.
I've heard of it. To be honest, it didn't seem intriguing enough for me to want to watch it.
Yeah, I can't even remember what it's about. I think I did look it up, but I just my interest laid. My interests
Lied.
lied. My interests
I lied
were in
elsewhere.
other they were elsewhere this year, so I had other things I had to get to. Number 4 was No Time for Sergeants. Never heard of that one. And number 5 was Gigi. That one I am aware of, and it's the one that swept the Oscars this year, and it took home all of the big music-based Oscars, best song, all those sorts of things. This was not in the top 5, but another big musical movie was Damn Yankees. I have heard of that one. I've never seen it. I don't really know anything about it, but just one of the few movies that came, I look through every movie that comes out every year, and that's why usually it's like a huge list that I'm struggling to like, knock things off. I'm like, I can't mention that one, even though I love it. This one, I'm just like thinking things like, I've heard the name Damn Yankees. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah.
A couple that I've heard of and have seen. First off, we'll say The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Fucking awesome movie. Love that film. It's I really got into Ray Harryhausen a couple of years ago. He does stop motion special effects. He's like the king of stop motion from way back in the day.
All I can think of is Monsters Inc. That's
Monsters
the
Inc.,
restaurant they go to.
Harryhausen's. Yeah. That's so funny because that's why I knew who he was for years. Like when I found out that was the guy, I was like, oh, okay. I know the name. And so that's what he was known for. He was known for specifically the big thing in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad is a Cyclops. So that's why she's the one who he says that, and it's Mike and Celia. They both are Cyclops.
It's like a reference. Man, that's good. I did not know that until right now.
Awesome film. You might have seen like some of these other movies from around that time. A lot of them had his work in it, like Jason and the Argonauts and things like that. That like the movies where they had him, like the people facing the skeletons, or like
I've seen that
Medusa.
Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts is dope. It's the same kind of, Ray Harryhausen did work in that too. So this one's got like a ton of his stop motion stuff in it. There's like a griffin, there's a snake lady, kind of like Medusa, but the big one everyone knows from this is the Cyclops. It's super, super sick. Very rad. I recommend checking this one out. It's like definitely just a movie that I already loved a lot, just in general. I mean, I really just love stop motion special effects. It looks so cool. It's just such a bygone era thing, Another one that I think most people have heard of that I was pretty surprised wasn't better performing was Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, I tried to watch that. It was rented, and I was like, it was just last night, so I was like, I'm not going to rent it and probably not finish it even. So
yeah, I haven't seen that one actually. I've seen a decent amount of Hitchcock films, but there's a lot. He's got so many, and so it's like I've never seen The Birds. I've never seen Vertigo.
I've seen The Birds. I've never seen Vertigo.
Vertigo was one of the ones that I kind of held that in the same light as like North by Northwest, where it's like these are really good movies, but not necessarily like the ones that are what I am like. I'm trying to see Psycho and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
But it's definitely one I need to check out. I love Jimmy Stewart. He's just up there like I'm up too high. I'm getting dizzy. They're like, sit down. He's like, no, I can't. I've got vertigo. It's a great film. Speaking of famous actors back then, this person wouldn't be famous for some time, but Jack Nicholson would make his film debut this year, which I think we talked about. We talked about Little Shop of Horrors, like the original version of that, which I thought was his film debut, but it was just one of his early ones, I think. This was actually his like first time in a feature film. He starred in it, which I thought was nuts. It's also only his second acting job as far as I could find. Like he had one appearance in a TV show, and then he just starred in this film. It's called The Crybaby Killer, and it was like a B movie. It didn't do very well. It wasn't very well received. But basically, he's just like, he gets picked on, and then he gets all mad and like holds some people hostage because he's upset at it. And that's kind of the whole story. But, Jack Nicholson's film debut, I watched a few seconds of it. I didn't watch the actual film. He blinked a fuck ton in this clip that I saw. Probably like... I mean, it was every single word that he said. He would, are you kidding me? I mean, I got to get out there and I got to show her what I'm worth. It was just like, I don't know, how did this guy keep getting jobs? He's blinking crazy.
Well, maybe it's the reason he didn't get picked up for a while. Because I just heard this from my friend's grandpa that Easy Rider was his like one of his first
big break.
Films. Yeah,
that was like 1967, I think. So
that was
like 10 years later. Almost.
Definitely later than this.
Yeah. I just think it's nuts that he was able to star in it right away. Like they must have really been hurting for somebody to get in there. It's weird the way that acting works, that like your level of acting, if you're a bad actor, you can star all the way, be the top star in like a shitty movie. And if you're a good actor, you can be like a very small part in a very good movie,
Yes.
It's not like really good actors star in really like low level bad movies first and then work their way up. Typically. It's like they always get bit parts and then work their way into bigger parts in movies. They don't like start at the bottom rung, but in the starring role. But he did.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of rare that you see that, I think. Like usually you'll be like, what was, Robert Duvall's first role? And it's him like sweeping hair. And that's it. And then it cuts away. All right, this is where all of the movies that I think, not just me, it's not just because of my own sensibilities and what I like typically. I think this is across the board. The movies that people know about from this year are the horror films. And it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, it's just like I said, it's kind of universal. I think you'll all believe me. It's not, you think I'm a liar right now. You're like, Trey, you're a fucking freak. You like these blood and guts movies. The movies that came out this year that are horror films are films like the original The Fly, starring Vincent Price, would be remade later with Jeff Goldblum. The original version of The Blob also would be remade in the 80s. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman and Dracula. This version stars Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. So very, very two like titans of the old school horror, and then would shortly after this would go on to be, not shortly, but a little while later would go on to be two dudes involved in the Star Wars franchise.
Yes. I didn't know. I watched this movie. I watched it's called
Dracula?
Horror of Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been renamed because there's so many Draculas at this point. When it came out, it was just Dracula. But yeah, I think it's the horror. Is it the horror of Dracula?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it. First time I've ever seen it. Great movie.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it. I didn't watch that one this week.
Really good. Peter Cushing does amazing. I wish I could see him in other. I want to go see other things that he's in because he does such a good job. He plays Van Helsing.
I've heard of Christopher Lee being a horror icon. People talk about that because he's like such an interesting guy. He had such an interesting life and did like a metal album when he was 90 or something like that. Just was a weird, interesting dude. But Peter Cushing was also very, very heavily involved in
the horror
scene. I'm trying to remember, maybe it was like the Murder Express or something like that. I saw with him in it, where he's on a train.
Well, so everyone knows, like, I don't know. I feel like this is what Christopher Lee is like known for, nearly for people in our generation, if not like a little older. But he has like 3 lines in this entire movie.
Oh,
and
really?
He's like in it for 25%.
Wow.
So like considering he is such a iconic figure for this movie, he's not even really in it.
I mean, it makes sense. It's Dracula, like you think that, but Dracula's not like, especially at the time, it's a horror thing. It's like Jaws. You're not like seeing what Jaws is doing on his day-to-day life. He's coming in to like fuck up the main cast.
Yeah, that's true.
So Dracula's the bad thing that's just supposed to swoop in and be scary, not like you're not supposed to be spending time with him. And in the book, you don't really, other than the Transylvania parts, you don't spend very much time with Dracula. The rest of the time, it's told from the characters being like, "Where the hell is he? I'm scared." He's not nearby, and that's worrying to me.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Michael Gough, he was the Alfred in the Batman Forever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's the 3rd person in this movie.
That's cool. He's a butler.
Yeah, right. No, he's Arthur Holmwood. He's the person who Van Helsing is like helping,
okay.
and then he turns around and helps him kill Dracula.
Oh, okay. Oh, the one that I watched this week for the first time was The Blob. I'd never seen any version of The Blob. I've always wanted to, and I felt like that was it's such a classic horror film. I thought I've always needed to see that. The Fly, I wanted to, but I've seen the Goldblum version, and I've avoided the 80s version of The Blob because I wanted to watch the original version first. So I finally got around to seeing that. So I'm glad I did that. I watched a colorized version. I don't know if it was in color. I thought it was in black and white. So that was a little weird, but
the only reference I have, I think it's Grease. It's like in the background of one of the movies that they're.
Oh yeah, when they're in the drive-in.
Watching. Yeah, maybe.
Something? Yeah, man, I think it was in black and white in that movie. So
it was in black and white.
Yeah, so it was kind of like disappointing when I was watching it. And I was like, oh man. Actually, at one point, when the first person gets blobbed, like this old man, it's like very, very similar to Killer Clowns from Outer Space in the beginning. It's like the same exact, like they're just riffing on that, which I didn't know because I'd never seen this. So like them being at the lookout point, and him like trying to make out with the girl, and then them seeing the thing. So they go and follow the shooting star, and it's the old man and his dog in the woods, and then the old man grabs something and it has the blob on it. And when it grabs his hand, it like slops on and grabs it all crazy. And I stopped the movie to go check to see if I was watching the 88 version of it, because I was like, there's no way that effect was done in 1958. And I was watching the correct version. So I was pretty blown away by that.
That's cool.
Really good. Yeah, really good effects, at least in that one shot. The rest of the blob wasn't shockingly impressive. But that one scene it literally made me turn off the movie to check and see if I was watching the right version.
I didn't know Steve McQueen was in that movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Yeah, he's like, that's where he started, I guess. He looks old as hell. He's like a teenager. He looks like he's like 30. That was like very funny because especially the rest of the kids he's hanging out with kind of are kid looking. I don't know if he really was young and he just looked old, he had an old looking face, but it was like that. He looks like Steve McQueen, just not younger, just wearing young people clothes.
I'm going to see when he was born. March 1930. So yeah, he was 28 at this point.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, he did look his age. Yeah, he definitely did not seem like a teenager, you know. Another movie I'll talk about real quickly because this was funny to me was Carry On Sergeant. I looked into this, you know, I just tend to look through movies to see if there's anything interesting about them. And this one happened to be very shocking when I clicked on it to see that it's the first of 31 films in the Carry On series. And just when you see a number like that, you're like, there's 31 Carry On movies, and I've never heard of that being a thing. It's a UK comedy series of films, but still, are you aware of that? There's been 31 of this thing that's very popular over there. Carry On Sergeant, Carry On, whatever else.
No.
Yeah, they were making these from this 1958 till 1978. So I mean, it was before our time, but still, it seems like you would know about it. And then they did one more in 1992. So you know, it's an older thing, but still, I just was like, what the fuck? I've never heard of this. All right, last movie I'd like to speak on here is a film that came out by the Disney Corporation. It's a little nature film by the title of White Wilderness. This is a very infamous film in like documentary classes I took and stuff like that. We discussed this film because of its ethical issues. Had you heard of this at all before your research this year?
I had heard of the incident that had happened. I didn't know what it was called, but I knew that
the movie, but you knew they did this.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened is if you've ever heard of lemmings being a creature that follows the person in front of them so much without thinking that they will jump off a cliff and commit suicide. Essentially, it's like kind of how you use it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, don't be a lemming. Like that's how it's like kind of been devolved into, I guess, at this point, or evolved into, or whatever you want to say. But it's also that people assume these creatures committed suicide because of what happened in this documentary. It's really weird. It's like such a hard thing to even describe. This. Why would you even do this?
It's so crazy to me. Yeah. So to make their nature documentary more interesting, the producers pushed and threw the lemmings off of a cliff while shooting them, and they framed it as a natural occurrence for the audience. It's something that these creatures just did. But they were pushing them and, in some cases, throwing them off cliffs to make it seem like they had suicidal ideations.
Yeah, well, it was like they basically put them on a turntable first to make it look like they migrated, which they don't do. And they were just like spinning them around and making them walk for forever. And then when they got to this, so then it was like they just all walk to the cliff and jump off and jump into the water or whatever. But all of this is just being forced by the filmmakers. So, like I said, in documentary classes, this is taught as a way like you don't
throw animals off
something.
cliffs.
You don't fabricate something in order to make your thing seem more interesting. It seems very obvious, but at the time it wasn't something that was obvious, I guess, and it got them in some hot water. And like Disney has maintained that they didn't know that the guy was doing it. This was all the filmmaker. He did it on his own.
Yeah. Well, it's like, find a different animal then. Don't videotape guinea pigs or whatever.
Yeah, really boring thing. Yeah. But the movie was about just the white wilderness. So they also showed polar bears and other types of animals. But like even for that, there's a scene where they show a polar bear falling down a cliff, and they framed it as this polar bear, like not a cliff, not like this, but like a hill, like a kind of rocky little hill. And they framed it as this poor polar bear stumbled and fell down this hill. But it's actually like on a sound stage. They built this
what the
hill
fuck
for it to fall, and they just threw it down the thing. So it's like safe, but yeah, well, shame on you, Disney. I mean, that's not that's a very weird thing to be. They were like very renowned for their nature documentaries. They were known for people learned a lot about animals that they wouldn't have otherwise known if it hadn't been for the Walt Disney Corporation doing what they had done at the time.
Yeah.
But this also occurred. So That was pretty common in general, though, back then. There's other documentary, a lot of things from back in the 50s, old documentaries that were a lot of fabricated stuff in them. And, of course, going on for forever. People always will do that. Make up lies to sell things. But
yeah. I mean, the ethics back then, I think, were different.
yeah, well, I mean, you know, when people found out, they weren't happy about it.
Think this is on Disney Plus?
I wonder, actually.
I doubt it very highly.
I've seen some clips from it, but I don't know if I've just seen it in the context of that. Like, I've seen a lot of, because another one that's very popular, I think it's earlier than this, is Nanook of the North as another, like, those are the two prime examples of documentaries that lie about their subjects. It's just interesting. They're both like snow time people based, like, because Nanook of the North is like an Inuit, and they had him just do a bunch of shit that he didn't do in real life to make it seem like he was more of a, you know, an interesting native tribal person than he was.
He's like, I don't know how to build an igloo. They're like, do it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we're all done with the movies of 1958, and therefore we only have one final thing to do while we're back in the past before we jump back to the future. It's time to choose. What is your favorite occurrence of the year? What you gonna save? Or you can alternatively, think of everything from the year and decide which ones you didn't like, and then you're left with the one thing you'll save. That takes longer, though.
I'm gonna save the Dodgers moving to LA because I don't think I'd be a Dodger fan if they were in New York. I have no reason to.
So your family's like Dodgers fans from like California?
Yeah, my dad was born in 58, born in Brooklyn, but my grandma and step-grandfather had season tickets growing up when I was a kid, and they lived in LA. Who knows if I would even like baseball.
Yeah, your family just strikes me as a New York family. It seems like you guys are from New York, and that's why you guys
just one side of my family is from New York.
Yeah, so that's why you guys would like the Dodgers, is because like you're, you know, New York people.
Just coincides.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to save the Giants coming to California. No, I'm just kidding. Keep the rivalry alive. Well, if I don't do that, then you have your rivals across the country. It makes no sense because they stay in New York or they end up in fucking Michigan or wherever else they were talking about going. I am going to save The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Okay. It is far and away my favorite film or whatever to come out this year. When I was looking through stuff that happened, I was like, oh no way, that was this year. Like really. I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and just really reminded me how cool that is, and kind of made me want to rewatch a bunch of Harryhausen stuff. So I feel like I was like Celia when I saw it. I went Harryhausen. So I'm saving that one. I'm gonna rewatch that. I didn't rewatch it leading up to this week, but I really wanted to watch The Fly and Attack of the 50-Foot Woman as well. But The Blob is the one I ended up checking out. So got a couple movies I probably end up still watching. I know I won't. I got to do whatever we're going to do next week. When am I going to watch these?
I keep saying that I'm going to do stuff like that, but I don't.
Yeah, next year, a year from now, when we do this year again.
Yeah.
Or who knows when. Anyway, let's get on out of here now, though. I know that it's going to be a while till we get back here. So I know I'm going to be looking at this list of movies and thinking about 1958. I don't know what you're going to be thinking. That we
wish we were then.